Greetings and welcome back, everyone. This is The Angry Chicken. I'm Garrett, joined as always by Jocelyn. And Jocelyn, dear God, how do you feel about 3-hour episodes? Because that's what we're going to try to not do today.
Yeah, 3-hour episodes I feel like are just going to be the norm all the way through until after the expansion launches.
It's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts. There's a lot of stuff happening. Just like fun fact, everybody, like until like 2 hours ago, there was a big chunk in the notes that Joss had added that was Battleground Heroes data mined, which has now been changed to Battleground Heroes confirmed. And there's a bunch of updates to talk about on top of the fact that we promised you listeners at home that we were going to get back to Descent of Dragon cards this week. Talk about the non-Galacron cards that we skipped our post-BlizzCon episode because there were just too many cards to talk about because they did what we've been asking for. They actually showed us a lot of cards at BlizzCon. So much so that we kind of
more than ever before, actually.
Yeah.
This was the most releases we've ever seen at a BlizzCon. So lots to talk about.
Yeah, it's stacked for sure. Before we get into it, we're just gonna take a second here though. A second here because thanks are in order. It is thank you patrons today. Thank you patrons day, if I could say it correctly.
Hashtag.
It's like a thing that Patreon puts on every year. They have a hashtag thank you patrons. Like to just get anyone that has a Patreon together, everyone get together and thank your patrons. Thank the people that are supporting what you are creating. And we are actually recording on that day. So we figured we'd just take an extra minute at the top of the show and thank those of you who are currently or anyone who has ever supported us over at patreon.com/TAC. It's been a strange year for Hearthstone for sure. And we've had our ups, we've had our downs, but there's still hundreds of you over at patreon.com/TAC supporting us. And we cannot thank you enough. I've been thinking about it a lot today, and it's something I haven't thought about in a while because it's been over 3 years now since I went full time. I went full time in 2016, and it's because of the support from our patrons that I was able to do that. Now, everyone knows I wear about 1 billion hats. Jocelyn, I've been like doing freelance graphic design. I have contract work as a videographer, all of that stuff. But like,
I thought you were just talking about like your super sweet hat collection.
Oh, I do have a super sweet hat.
This is the first time I've seen this toque.
I forget that you call it. It's definitely not because I've definitely worn it, and you've definitely said toque before, and you've had to clarify to me what the hell a toque is. I always call them beanies.
It's literally the thing on your head.
Okay. Well, I've always referred to them as beanies, or that thing I have one of because I don't get to wear it that much because I live in Florida. But
so you don't have multiple.
Yes, exactly. Yeah. And anyways, what I'm trying to say is it all comes together. That is the reason I was able to start creating content for a living. I was able to pull that trigger, and it was because of the Patreon. Like, we were pretty early on the Patreon platform on The Angry Chicken, and it's like we've had this since 2014. It's crazy to think that we've had a Patreon for that long.
It was the very first way for people to actually support what we were doing. Before Twitch opened up the affiliate and partner program. Well, I guess the partner program's been around for a long time, but way before the affiliate program, way before any of that kind of stuff was available. Like this was the thing. So it's been a while now, and you guys on Patreon, you were the first.
Yeah. So thank you very much. And honestly, it doesn't begin and end at the Patreon. If you've ever supported anything we do, you've subbed to Jocelyn, you've poked me and hired me to do some freelance, or you've told a friend about The Angry Chicken to go and listen. Like,
that's all we have to do is just poke you.
Yeah, they literally.
Poke Garrett. It keeps them going.
People keep telling me I should have a website. I'm not sure I agree with them. The poke method has been working really well for years now. So, anyways, what we're just trying to say is thank you so much for the support. We really, literally could not do this without you. So, thank you, patrons, and thank you, supporters of The Angry Chicken. So, with that in mind, there's so much to talk about today, so let's get right into it. This week's Hearthstone News.
Good news, everyone!
New Battleground heroes have been confirmed. It's here. We don't need to talk about data mining, although some of the data mining actually helped us know things that weren't answered in this post that went up just a couple of hours ago at the time of recording this podcast. So if you haven't checked this out, you can go it's on the official Hearthstone website right now, titled Hearthstone Battlegrounds Update November 19. But the big thing right at the top of this, the biggest news in Hearthstone this week, is that new heroes have been added to Hearthstone Battlegrounds. This update, by the way, is like live now, as we speak. So we have 4 new heroes in total, replacing 4 heroes in total in Battlegrounds. The first up is Sindragosa, and Sindragosa's has a passive hero power that reads, at the end of your turn, frozen minions get +1/+1, as I almost trigger a cough. I'm almost better, everybody. I'm pretty much better. But
yeah, so to me, and I haven't actually seen her played yet, but this would mean that like you freeze the tavern for next turn, and then everything in that tavern gets +1/+1. So
yes.
Then when you buy it the next turn, you have a buffed minion.
Yes,
That's interesting.
This seems very good to me.
Mm-hmm. Which is really funny because the chat room's like, Cindy seems bad.
I disagree. I mean this in jest. Unless you're Brian Kibler, who, for the love of God, man, I watch your videos. Reroll more. You leave so much gold on the board, man. If you're Disguised Toast, who rerolls as much as I like him to when I watch his videos, this is probably good. I think it's kind of, there's edge case scenarios where this is kind of bad, but you should be freezing, especially if you get to the late game, and especially if you're going like a buff strategy, which right now is a pretty damn good strategy to chase. Because there's multiple ways to do it. You can chase a buff strategy if you go for tribes, or you can chase a buff strategy if you go a menagerie build, if you're kind of all over the place with what you're synergizing with. And a lot of times you're just buying, if you are buying Battlecry minions and selling them, I think Sindragosa is going to be good, because when you deploy that strategy, you are constantly re-rolling, and it is pretty frequent that you find a Battlecry minion or 3 on a reroll that you can't afford this turn that you freeze for next turn. That's already happening. Now, if you're Sindragosa...
But if they're Battlecry minions and you're going to sell them, then it doesn't matter if they get buffed.
Well, that is true. Yes. Didn't think this one through.
I was like, what?
But it's not just that. There's other factors at play of you're freezing. There's other things you find because you're doing this. It's it's just the heavy reroll strategy really comes into play when you're chasing these kind of buff builds. But you're usually also picking up 3 ofs along the way. The +1 is going to help with that. I don't know. I like this. I do think it's going to probably have some fall off late game. But
yeah, that's kind of the thing, right? Is like I'm kind of on the fence about this, because to get a really good like use out of your hero power, you're probably going to want to be buying 2, right? Which is going to be 6 gold, which means you're looking at like you're a few turns in, and you wouldn't necessarily want to do this when on a turn when you have a lot of, or you're going to be upgrading your tavern, right? So if I'm like looking at this and I'm thinking, okay, next turn I'm going to be upgrading my tavern, so there's no real point in doing this, right? Like it seems like she'd be like a mid game type thing, because late game +1/+1 isn't going to be that big of a deal.
Yeah,
and I don't know if you have enough gold to make it worth it in the early game when it would really matter, right? Like I don't know. I'm on the fence about her, I think.
I've been getting further and further away from what you just said, which is like, don't freeze if you're going to level up. Because there's I've found myself a lot in the past week in situations where I know I'm going to level up next turn, but I freeze anyway. As a matter of fact, a big way to kind of get the most bang for your gold is when you find that third, if it lines up, if a third is across the board from you and you can't afford it this turn, and you know you're going to level up next turn, that's like the perfect case scenario, because you're going to buy that third next turn. It's going to merge. You're going to be able to get a discover after you rank up. And now you're also going to get an additional +1/+1 for your trouble.
I guess my point is just that, like, if you like in the part of the game where +1/+1 would really matter, and you're like, you basically need 10 gold to do everything that you just talked about, to buy, to upgrade your tavern, to, you know, do all that stuff. So if it's at that point of the game, then I don't know how much the +1/+1 really matters. Like, to me, +1/+1 matters more earlier on, I would think.
I don't know. I would really push against the you need 10 gold, because if you're saving, you don't necessarily, and it's all relative to how long you've stayed at a certain rank, which can really, mileage varies depending on the strategy you're trying to deploy. That's the only thing I would really push back against there. But I was definitely, listen, I didn't put too much stock in the data mining because it wasn't confirmed, so I haven't actually spent a lot of I've spent an hour thinking about Sindragosa, and I didn't think about Battlecry menus to sell them. I'm an idiot. Yeah, ignore that, everyone. But I still think this is okay. I'm also after last week's episode, we've had like a lot of people being like, this hero is so much better than you said, or this hero is so much worse than you said. So I've just been beaten into a little bit of submission here of thinking a lot of heroes are a little bit better than I previously thought. Except all of you who came out of the woodwork for Ragnaros, you are crazy. Like, you're actually crazy. Congratulations. That was the hero that I feel like people that win with Rag are almost like winning in spite of him. Like, they're just saying that they like, okay, I just won't have a hero power, and I just am Ragnaros because he's cool, and also I'm very good at this game, so I'm just gonna win, and I don't need the extra crutch of a hero power. Hoolog Gaming in the chat room says it correctly. They are sorcerers. If you're winning with Ragnaros, you're actually a sorcerer. And honestly, as an addendum to last week, I thought we mentioned this, but I don't think we highlighted it enough. You can win with any hero, because drafting is way heavier weight in this game than what hero you end up with. It's just, we were talking about how much does this hero and their attached hero power increase my overall average of placing high in a session in a game of Battlegrounds. Right. It's like which hero powers impact the drafting portion, really. Because that's like, you know, the more impact you have on actually getting your minions and making them as powerful as possible. Like, because you can't control, like, yes, you can position your minions and that will control what order they attack, but you can't choose their targets in any way. It's all random. So you just want to have the strongest board you can. So in that way, the hero powers that impact your drafting are going to be slightly better. But again, like, it all depends on what ends up on the other side of the tavern and how the random rolls go when you're actually in combat. All of that stuff is out of your control. The stuff you can control is which minions you picked when you draft and how well they synergize with your hero power. And some hero powers in that way are better than others. Yep. So I would say Sindragosa is probably slightly below middle of the pack for me. I think we put Jiraxis too high, by the way. And at some point, I want to have a conversation with you about kind of paring our board down to fewer sections, because I definitely had too many sections. And I'd like to kind of just revisit it every now and then and just move things around. Just like, do we agree with this? Yes, no, maybe so. Okay, let's just move it. Well, dude, I mean, like, I feel like you're going to have to do like tier lists every couple of weeks, because I mean, even just not only the addition of 4 heroes, but the fact that 4 heroes are leaving means that there's going to be a shift in what's good and what's bad, because like, we're taking out huge synergies here. Like, we're taking out mechs and beasts right now, but with the heroes that are rotating out. So that's just going to fundamentally change what's going on in Battlegrounds. So you have to do a new tier list. I'm sorry. Yeah. I think I don't want to commit to anything, everyone, because there's just so much hearts in the talk, but it's honestly hard to fit certain things in. But I'm putting serious thought into a standalone Battlegrounds segment where we just have the hero wall, where we just move heroes around every week. Just like, how you feeling this week? Did you learn something new? Like on slower weeks, and then obviously big weeks like this when new heroes come in and old heroes leave. Like, there's just I think a fun conversation to be had. But you know, Angry Chicken is an ever evolving podcast, and we will let you know. Anyways, moving on from Sindragosa, another new hero that's coming in is Elise Starseeker. Elise also has a passive hero power that reads, when you upgrade the tavern, get a recruitment map. Now, according to data mining, it's a discover a minion from tier X. The note on the official...
it says tier 0, but
okay.
Yeah, that's not a thing.
There's no way that's a thing.
I changed it to X, like someone who actually does math.
Yeah. The note in the official...
0 has a value, people.
The official post says, note that the recruitment map recruits a minion from your current tavern tier after upgrading Bob's Tavern. That is weird.
Yes. It's kind of like roundabout wording, but I think essentially what they mean is that it's going to work like the discover card that you get when you get a triple, basically, is you're going to discover a minion from the higher of the 2 tiers that Bob's Tavern has been that turn. So it's like you upgrade the tavern and then you get a minion, you get to discover a minion of that level. So if you go from 3 to 4, you get to discover a 4. If you go from 2 to 3, you get to discover a 3, so on and so forth.
Gotcha.
However, it does from data mining anyways, it does look like the map has a cost in and of itself. It looks like the map costs the same amount as recruiting a minion. Not confirmed yet because they didn't give us too many details in this actual blog post, but I do think the recruitment map does cost you money. So the discovering part is powerful, I think, and shouldn't be underrated. But yeah.
I mean, discover is very powerful.
It's still not free like the triple is.
No, but it would be kind of busted to get like double upgrades. It would be
super broken.
Like, yeah, it would be insane.
Super broken.
This is still good. I think if Toki going up to 2 gold has taught us anything, like this is fine. This is totally fine. I think that's like my gut reaction is paying 3 to do it again. I think it's kind of gross. So.
Not to mention, it's a card, right? So it's a card that goes into your hand. So even if you don't have the money necessarily to play it on that turn, you can always play it next turn.
Exactly. Zoom in a little bit on this for the video, for the visual crowd. Next is Bran Bronzebeard. I've only said that name a million times. What's wrong with me? Bran also has a passive hero power. I'm noticing a trend here. After you play a Battlecry minion, give a random friendly minion +1/+1. You know what? The stupid crap I said about Battlecry minions on Cindergrosa, just copy and paste that here, and I'm right. There we go. This seems good because this is a really strong way to play the game right now. And as I already mentioned, there's multiple ways to dispatch this strategy.
Well, and see, this is good because it doesn't actually cost you anything. You just have to go a Battlecry type strategy, and then it's just a thing that always happens. So, like, if you get the alley cat and you play it, would it buff the token?
It should.
Yeah, so it feels like a thing that's just going to happen always, like, which just to me feels better than, like the Cindergrosa power.
I mean, if it's after you play a Battlecry minion, would it have a chance to buff the minion you played as well?
I don't know.
Again, this has been out for like an hour.
I haven't had any. I haven't actually seen any of them in my Battlegrounds round.
Yeah, same. Yeah, I gave it my damnedest. I certainly had the best first place victory I have ever had since this went live right before the show. Oh my God. I was at 8 health against an undefeated curator and ended up winning the next like 5 rounds in a row between him and the George the Fallen. And I couldn't believe it. Couldn't believe I pulled it off. Toki's still really good, everybody. Just FYI.
Yeah, Toki's good.
I think Bran Bronzebeard is really good. Maybe I would tie Bran and Elise. My gut reaction is these are 2 top tier heroes in Battlegrounds. Maybe Bran ekes out Elise because I just love passive buffing. Like it has more or less been proven to be pretty damn good in Battlegrounds, whereas Elise is really strong. But how many games have you gotten mad because you couldn't pick up that third? So if you're not doing any upgrades, Elise is going to just add fuel to your rage fire. So find your zen, Elise players, is what I'm telling you. But I think these both have.
I think Elise is huge. Elise is decent, but I think Bran is the best one we've seen so far of these new heroes.
Yeah. And then finally, Sir Finley Mergleton comes to Battlegrounds with the only new hero to not have a passive hero power. Sir Finley has a 1 gold hero power that gives a random friendly minion +1/+1 after you sell a minion. Refresh this. I think this is okay.
I think this is pretty decent, especially if, like you said, you're going down a battle or a battle cry type road. Then I mean, you're going to be selling all the time, and then sell, buff, sell, buff. Seems good. Kind of like feeds into itself, right? Because
yeah,
it costs one, and you get one when you sell. So
yeah, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like King Muckla's bananas are just better, even though they're not as...
Well, he's gone, though.
Well, he is leaving, yes. That is true, but I don't think Muckla's... I'm more speaking from a place of trying to compare this to power levels we understand, and Muckla is a power level we understand. And I think whether Muckla's in or out, this is not as good. So I kind of think of Finley lower. Certainly worse heroes, I think, like heroes I would pick Finley over a lot of other kind of lower end heroes. Like I think this is okay. I think I would put this just below middle of the road average, I think. Because I'm not super thrilled with the idea of having to pay a gold for this. I know I've made a big deal about buff strategies already on this episode, but paying a gold for a +1/+1 really falls off in its capability. And if you're chasing those buff strategies, you're re-rolling a lot. And so 1 gold spent is another re-roll you're not doing. And the upside of most Battlecry minions, like Battlecry buffing minions that you could find off of a re-roll, I think is on average a lot higher value than this 1 gold power up.
Fair enough.
That's kind of where my brain's going on Finley. This is about the only one that I saw and I immediately had a pretty well-formed thought about. I was like, oh, value-wise, I don't think this cuts it. But it's all right.
I'm just
Finley.
excited about a refreshing hero power. I think that this is a cool thing that they're going to be playing with. And I think like it's kind of hard. I want to play more and see how all of this is really going to shake out, because now that we're seeing that they're taking out specifically Muckla, which is also kind of funny that they just buffed him and now he's out of the rotation. But Muckla and Maleficent, I don't know why I have such a hard time saying her name, but those pushed down very specific tribal roots. They were powerful. Mechs and beasts we talked about last week were the most powerful in Battlegrounds, and some of that's getting nerfed / they're changing how some of the Murlocs and demons work just to kind of bump them up a little bit and kind of even out the tribes a little. So the fact that they're taking out these tribal heroes makes me really wonder about what all this is going to look like, and if we are kind of balancing things out a little bit better, and if we're living in a more balanced world, then does something like Sir Finley's power actually work in a world that doesn't have beasts and mechs specific hero buffs, like pushing down that tribal route. It's just a little bit more flexible, and I want to see what the meta looks like, in a couple days.
Yeah. It's just that you're paying that flexibility is where my brain just goes, hit the brakes on the excitement. Although it's Finley, I'm predisposed to want to like him. So as you already alluded to, there are 4 heroes leaving the Battlegrounds as well. King Muckla.
We just, before we go too far, can we just talk about where the hell's Reno? Is Reno secretly Cindegrosa? Is that what they're trying to tell us?
So Reno,
that is his like dragon form.
Reno. Oh, you're right. Cause it's everyone but Reno. I think they're just
Reno.
trolling us. They're like 3 explorers and a dragon, and everyone's like, "Oh my god, it's a dragon! Dragon confirmed."
Yep.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying.
I don't know. We're also going to talk about
Cindegrosa.
Learn Draconic today again, so the conspiracies continue. But heroes leaving the battleground. King Muckla is out, as you already mentioned. Giant Finn is out. No one will be sad. Maleficent Manastorm is out. I'm sad. And Lich Baziel is out, and everyone goes, oh, the hero I took on accident that one time and then will never take again?
Yeah.
So 2, I think, really good heroes, and 2, last week we literally called Giant Finn and Lich the 2 worst heroes in the game. So
yeah.
Yeah, Mucklin.
So they took out the top and the bottom and then gave us some kind of middle to high.
Yeah. I mean, this is overall, I think it's definitely a power improvement over Giant Fin and Lich.
I think a little bit less than Maleficent and Mukla. I think.
I don't know. I'm looking at Bran and I'm looking at Elise like you might just blow the roof off the joint. I'm not sure.
I do like Elise a lot. I think she's powerful. But I think that, Maleficent and Mukla are powerful too. So
yeah, I agree. And then we're getting some balance updates. They're changing some cards, and I think we mentioned this last week.
So I said this kind of weird. They're not actually like changing the cards. The cards are still going to do what the cards are going to do. They're just moving tavern tiers.
I was leading into that with, we talked about this last week. If they had to change a card, how would they? Because the majority of the cards in Battlegrounds are cards that exist in Hearthstone. And it seems important to the team that it stays that way. And at least for this round of balance updates, they figured out a way around it, because we didn't even think about changing tiers, but that's exactly what's happening here. Primal Fin Lookout is going from tier 5 to tier 4. Void Lord's going from tier 6 to tier 5. Junkbot is going from tier 4 to tier 5. Thank God.
Yeah, that was too low for sure.
Yeah, although with Maleficent, it doesn't matter. It's still insane. And then Cold Light Seer is going from tier 3 to tier 2. Which I enjoy as well. They also gave us developer comments, which I love these. I'm used to only seeing these in my Heroes of the Storm balanced notes, but they said they wanted to buff both demons and murlocs, so they moved those minions down a tavern tier. Conversely, Junkbot was a bit too strong for tier 4, and often made it so mech players never had a good reason to upgrade to tavern tier 5. I agree. With these changes, we think the minion types are closer together in power level. I like all of these changes. Except maybe, could we just like get rid of Void Lord and put a different demon in? Because I just kind of think
you don't like Void Lords.
I think Void Lord is one of the poorer cards in the format. I don't. I've never taken it on purpose. I've definitely accidentally
I took it when I had a triple Mal'Ganis, and then it worked out pretty good.
Okay, I could see that.
Yeah.
Send your Void Lord, your sweet Void Lord stories to tacpodcast@gmail.com. I welcome them. I really do. I haven't seen a Void Lord go off, and I haven't been able to make it happen myself. So I like this a lot. So they also talked about the ranking system. There's been issues with the MMR. And I'm just going to kind of jump around our notes for a second here, because I forgot to reorganize this. Because Mike Danae got on the subreddit last week saying, hey, thanks everybody for pointing out that the MMR seems really freaking weird. I'm summarizing here. But they're going to do two things. They're going to make a change so that people get more points for wins and lose more points for loss. And so, yeah. That's basically it. And it's more or less what's happening here. They've adjusted the numbers to points given for first place. So they said in the original system, you got 240 points for first place on your first game and 24 points for first place on your 150th or later game. Now you're going to get 190 points for your first place on your first game and 95 points for first place on your 150th. So they're significantly reining in the chasm between like early experience first place victories and much later experience first place victories.
I think this makes more sense, because 240 to 24, like that was just insane.
Yeah, what they don't address in here, and I don't believe Mike and I didn't address this in his comments either on Reddit, is like what was going on with people getting first place and getting no points, because that was happening. And I had just assumed that the MMR system actually took everyone else's rating into account, and like maybe you were unfavored, but it doesn't sound like that at all. Like the way this ranking system, this little paragraph about how they're changing it makes it sound, it kind of sounds like there's more or less base point values associated with what place you end a run in. But that hasn't been my experience. There's been quite a bit of variance in the points that I've been seeing.
Yeah, me too. And I mean, again, like this says your first game is at 240 and your 150th is at 24 currently. So, or I guess, wait, did they change the ranking system in this patch, or is this something they're doing later? We've made adjustments. So this is in now.
Everything we're talking about right now has happened. They don't mention losing
I'm not
points.
used to them moving at this speed at all. It's really messing with my brain.
Me neither. Even more.
I'm used to them telling me something and then being like, okay, so, how many weeks do I have to wait for this to actually happen? It's like, no, it's today. Oh, okay. Whoops.
Yeah. In chat rooms, Hula in the chat room is saying, can anyone confirm that these changed? The last match I won was still only plus 23. So, and I want a better explanation of exactly how this ranking system works.
Yeah, because to me, it sounds like it's like a sliding scale, right? You start at 240 and then you work your way down to 24 seems to be like it should be the base. So now 95 should be the base. But yeah, if Hula just got 23, then maybe close your client and update.
Yeah, I don't know.
I don't know.
Yeah, because to me,
it is still in beta. It could also have not worked.
Could also just have a bug. Yeah, but they haven't.
Yeah.
They haven't come out and just said like how it works. Because to me, it seems like it's all. Not only is it a sliding scale based on how many games you play, but it also seems like it's variable based on your opponents.
Mm-hmm.
But I haven't found or gotten confirmation of any of that. Obviously, it's a sliding scale based on your number of games. That's confirmed here. But I don't know where the variance.
Well, and they did say on Reddit that they're going to do a more like in-depth post about how the MMR actually works, right?
Because it seems
that
like
was part of Mike's comments.
Pretty competitive system. Like it seems like it looks to me like a kind of a standard MMR, which also I'm surprised to see in this. And I'm even more confused, but we'll get to that later. There's another thing kind of making me scratch my head, but the only other things that were in this patch of note were bug fixes. Infested Wolf, the triple version of Infested Wolf, has been moved from Tavern Tier 2 to Tavern Tier 3, which is good because now it's consistent with its base form. I didn't realize that was a problem, but that's kind of hilarious. And same thing with Rat Pack. The triple version of Rat Pack was kind of the opposite issue. It was previously bugged and considered a Tier 3 minion. It has been moved down to a Tier 2 minion, which is consistent with its base form of a Rat Pack being a Tier 2 minion. There also plant tokens spawned from adapt effects are now Tavern Tier 1, and snake tokens spawned from Snake Trap are also now Tavern Tier 1. We got to put
makes sense.
Akazam Zarak higher on the list now, Jocelyn. You've got sick Snake Trap strategies.
There you go. I mean, it makes sense though, because if you like Tavern Tier actually matters for all these tokens, because if that's all that's left on your board, then they have to be dealing damage properly.
They also gave us feature updates, kind of a peek at more feature updates, which we already talked about last week, but there's even more information here. They said that they'd like to continue balancing minions and heroes based on how they're performing. They don't have any changes solidified at this time, but they're gonna have more to say soon, is their wording. So they're clearly looking to make more changes. They also said that they would like to continue rotating new heroes into the game while rotating existing heroes out, and that they have some recognizable faces that will be rolling out in December. Maybe Reno will be one of them.
I would think Reno would probably be one of them.
Or a dragon wearing a rather...
an explorer's hat?
An explorer's hat, which clearly is just because it was a Reno hat buff. And not because the dragon is Reno. They also said that they have 2 new minions in the works that they're currently planning to roll out in the December update. King Bagurgle, which is a brand new card, and Floating Watcher, which is from GVG, and I don't remember, and I'm looking up at this exact moment, and I found it. Floating Watcher, at least, I have no idea what tier it's going to be, but that was a 5-mana 4/4 demon that whenever your hero takes damage on your turn, gain +2/+2, so that's kind of interesting. I don't know how that... But you take damage all at once.
Yeah, so... once per round, he'll get buffed, I assume.
If you're losing.
If you lose, yeah. Or if you play like vulgar homunculuses, maybe.
Oh yeah. Vulgar. Okay, sorry, I already forgot about homunculus.
It depends what it counts as your turn. Is that your turn in the tavern? Your turn in combat? Both? None?
I think for it to have any chance of even being remotely good, it has to be both. Because homunculus is the only minion right now that does that.
But like,
the non-demon guy, the one that grows infinitely. That's the other one. So never mind. Yeah, if you're going to demon strategy, you are taking damage. So,
which this does kind of make sense. This to me, I mean, obviously it's a brand new card, so we don't know exactly what it is. But King Bagurgle sounds to me like a Murloc thing. And if he's the king of the Murlocs, maybe this is what we were asking for with a Murloc that grows his attack and health like the mechs and the beasts have with the hyenas and the junk bots. So maybe that's what they've now designed for this specific mode. But this sounds like more help and support for the two tribes that we were saying were not quite as good.
They haven't mentioned if they're going to remove any minions. So I'm curious if this will just be strictly additive.
It probably, I mean, I would guess it would just be additive, but I mean, it's kind of interesting because by changing Voidlord from the tier 6 down to tier 5, I mean, they are messing with the total number of minions in each pool, right? So because I feel like they're not set in their total number of minions in a tier.
Yeah, and what
feels flexible to me.
What I don't have a good sense of right now is the importance of like the size of a tribe's pool, or even like, because the one that grows isn't technically a demon, but it's clearly part of the tribe because it's all about demon synergy. I am unclear on how many like the weight of how many minions in a tribe in Battlegrounds, like how much that even affects the strategy, because you only have 7 minion spots. Like that's a big reason I don't like Voidlord. Board space is a major limiting factor and part of what makes Battlegrounds so interesting. So I don't even know, like, because my brain goes, well, wait, that would be kind of unfair if they start getting more demons than any other. Like, there's more demons in this than there are any other tribe in terms of like when we're talking synergy. I don't even know the numbers off the top of my head, so it might actually straight up be wrong. But it makes me start thinking about that. I'm sure it's something they're thinking about, but I wonder how much of an effect it actually would even have on Battlegrounds, because you can only have so many damn minions on board at one time.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. Anyways, yeah, just a lot of thoughts there. I find Battlegrounds wildly fascinating, and I love the speed that they're moving at, because I'm just like right around I'm not even caught up at this point with like my brain in terms of like things I know to be true in Battlegrounds, and lots of things are already changing. Also, they mentioned that they're working on the first iteration of the stats feature to give you more insight into your performance. They're going to surface stats like how many triples you've created, your top 5 heroes by wins, and more. But this is not coming until next year. So just keep your eye out.
I like the idea of your top 5 heroes by wins. I want to know what I do best at.
I do too. That'd be cool.
But I mean, I just want more stats, period, because I feel like if they do more stats in Battlegrounds, and if it's successful and people want it and use it, then maybe we'll get more in-depth stats in like Standard and Wild and Arena and, you know, the places we've had forever.
That would be very cool. Yes, I would certainly like that. We already talked about Mike Danae's comments in the subreddit. So let's move on to thinking our first sponsor of the day, Honey. They're back sponsoring this episode of The Angry Chicken. If you're here's the thing. We're here, Jocelyn. We made it. I don't know if you know this, but we're past the midpoint of November. The holidays are upon us. Giving gifts is fun, but spending more than you need to on gifts is the opposite of fun. One might say it is the suck. And Honey here is to combat that. Why spend more than you have to? You can find the lowest prices, and it's super easy if you have Honey. It's a free browser extension that automatically finds the best promo codes whenever you shop online, and you can get Honey for free by going to joinhoney.com/TAC. Now, you and I have been using Honey for a little while now. I've been supporting the Angry Chicken consistently for kind of like the back half of this year, and I have been trying to save a lot of money. and it's been helping. And the last time I mentioned that Honey got me a big discount, I haven't started Christmas shopping yet, was buying shoes. And that's still true. I got a lovely pair of Oxford-looking shoes that have sneaker bottoms, so they're super comfy, and I can run around with a camera and still look presentable when I have to go out and shoot some video. You know, when I get like a gig job. I have
started Christmas shopping, except for I've started Christmas shopping for me because Christmas is my favorite time of year to buy clothes because everything has glitter on it, Garrett. Everything.
All the things. You also have that sweet new Arthas sweater. So you're like in the holiday spirit.
Oh, yeah.
You're one
I
step
am
ahead
in the Christmas zone.
Yeah, because when I think Christmas, I think claiming the souls of the fallen with your sword.
Obviously.
That's what I think about. So go check out Honey. Honey has found its over 10 million members, by the way, over $1 billion in savings. So go check it out. If you're buying gifts this holiday season, then you need Honey. If you're not, you probably know someone who is. So do that person a solid and tell them about Honey. Tell them about joinhoney.com/TAC. Honey can help make sure that you're getting the best price for whatever you're buying. And again, it's free to use, and it installs in just 2 clicks. Once again, get Honey for free at joinhoney.com/TAC. That's joinhoney.com/TAC. And now, Jocelyn, let's just divert back into Battlegrounds for a second because
we're gonna get to standard Hearthstone in a moment. We promise.
I absolutely.
We're not a Battleground show now.
It's just
they just keep
Carterville season
it's
hasn't.
The news.
All right, here's you know what it is, Joss. You know what it is. Carterville season hasn't started yet. And they haven't nerfed Evolve. So you can listen to an episode of Angry Chicken from like 8 weeks ago, and it's basically the same. Like, meta, as far as, I don't think it was actually that long ago. Anyways, math is hard, and I've been essentially sick for 2 weeks. There was a Kotaku article, and the majority of the piece, it's fine. It's an introduction to the mode and how Battlegrounds kind of follows in Blizzard traditions of bridging the gap between like depth and accessibility, as Heather Alexandra, the writer of this piece on Kotaku, put it. It's a good read if you're new to the mode. There wasn't much else in it if you're already kind of in, other than the headline and a quote from game director Ben Lee. The headline was, "Hearthstone's new Battlegrounds mode isn't meant to be competitive, designers say." And then they have a quote from game director Ben Lee saying, quote, "A lot of it is geared towards fun. This isn't something we want to be highly competitive." And Jocelyn, I have confusion to share with you because
I also share your confusion here.
All right. Listeners at home, if you're not picking up what we are collectively laying down, if Ben Lee says a lot of it is geared towards fun, this isn't something we want to be highly competitive, compare this with me to all of the upcoming improvements we talked about last week, today, that hit the game hours ago, the $300,000 show tournament they're putting on, and I'm lost as to Team 5's goal with Battlegrounds. And this isn't a bad thing, by the way. I just find this messaging confusing because for the first time, I'm seeing competitive changes. Like changes are coming to Battlegrounds.
Timely yes. Competitive changes.
Changes are coming to Battlegrounds at the speed of competition, is the thing. And so much of the wording in Chris's statements from last week about previewing what's to come for Battlegrounds, and just in the balance notes today. By the way, patch notes, Steve, can we, like, for you have reached your final form. These patch notes were incredible. Thank you. But so much of the wording and the messaging in everything we've heard, except for this interview on Kotaku, is about wanting to balance the game. And clearly you can see from like the heroes that are moving out and the heroes that are moving in, like they're trying. It's in their own words, they're going to change heroes around based on their performance. And if that isn't balanced, I don't know what is. So like I said, I just have a strange feeling because I love all the changes they're making. I want them to balance this mode, and I want them to keep it shiny and keep iterating on it. But why would you say it's not competitive? Because I think it more or less is. Is it the most competitive thing in the world? God, no. That goes to StarCraft 2, and fight me if you think anything else is wrong. Actually, please don't. Don't at me. It's StarCraft 2, and you all know it. But I think it's competitive enough, and if they keep supporting it the way that they're supporting this beta, I think it is competitive. I would like to make the argument that Battlegrounds is competitive.
I wonder if, I mean, I don't know. I also am very, very confused because I feel like with all the money that they're throwing at it, I wonder if they just aren't 100% sure how they could build, like, say, a tournament around this or something. And so they're just like, no, don't worry. It's like, because we were talking before the show, I'm even curious as, like, after listening to you trying to tell me what was happening in, like, it was like you were not trying to cast, but you were just like, oh my God, this thing is happening. This thing's happening. Oh, that was terrible RNG. Oh, that was a great cleave. And I was like, I don't even know what you're talking about right now. Now, granted, I couldn't see the game, but I feel like this is going to be, because things happen so quickly, it's going to be incredibly difficult to cast. And so maybe that's what they're trying to say, is like, they're not 100% sure if their show tournament is going to be well received, or if this is a thing that they actually can turn into an esport. So they're like getting out ahead of it and saying, it's fun. We're not going to, like, this isn't going to be the new world champion of Hearthstone or something. Like, I don't know.
This smells,
it is very confusing.
This smells to me of them not wanting to have to listen to people like me a month or two from now, who's really into this mode and enjoying any competitive events that pop up around it, going, hey, when are we getting a spectator mode for this mode so we can actually cast it properly and it looks professional and not janky? That to me has how this, I've already been through this. I remember going up to Eric Dodds during the Hearthstone beta at BlizzCon going, how did you not make a spectator client? And him going, well, we didn't think it was going to be this big. We didn't think it was going to be competitive. I believed him then. I'm out at this point. Like, come on, it's a Blizzard game. We're going to have tournaments. Let's go. Let's give it the support that it needs. And I'm not even talking about like throw money at it, although they're already doing that.
I can't believe the amount of money they've thrown at this. This is disgusting.
It's a little insane. And that's the thing. I'm like, so what is it? Is it competitive or is it not? I mean, it's a show tournament, but also like you're throwing $300,000 at it. Like, I don't give a crap how much of a show tournament it is. And most of the competitors are not actually pros, but some of them are. There's pros on all teams. So I'm just,
maybe this is just me being, like, negative or something, but I really wish that they'd thrown $300,000 at like a B League for Hearthstone, something to actually be weekly and feed into Grandmasters like I've been asking for. I would have loved them to throw this into Wild. Like, I get that you want to try to bring people back by showing them the new hotness, but I don't know. I don't even know if I want to watch this tournament, to be honest. Like, I just wish they'd support their existing stuff instead of throwing a big chunk of money at a bunch of invited players. I don't know. I
am of a similar mind.
This puts a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth,
I have contradictory thoughts, because if I was trying to drum up as much hype as I possibly can.
I get it. Then the bigger prize pool, the more hype.
And on the flip side of like trying to even get myself out of just whatever, I need to be a hype machine monster. Like, I hope this is successful, and because I want more competitive Hearthstone formats. I would like Wild. I would like Arena. To be ways that we play Hearthstone at the top level to find the best Hearthstone players in the world. So I would like, I'm fine with this as long as we kind of start supporting the others. If it's just this and it's just this one-off and it's just to hype it and get people interested in Hearthstone again and in the new mode, like it leaves a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth as well. But I have so many different thoughts. That could honestly be like its own 1 hour debate.
And exactly. I don't want to go like too deep dive into this because it is definitely a rabbit hole, and maybe we can, have this conversation next week or something if we still don't have a ton of things to talk about. But I don't know, man. I wish that they'd done things differently. And I understand this is probably a marketing budget thing instead of an esports thing. And, they want more eyes on Hearthstone again. I get it. I don't know.
it's
makes me feel bad for anyone who plays Wild, anyone who plays Standard, or anyone who plays Arena after all these years.
nothing else. It's just weird, man. It's just weird.
Yeah.
Anyways, here's something we can all feel good about: free golden cards. The 25 year of Warcraft celebration has kicked off. If for some reason you're like one of those rare folks that are listening to this podcast but haven't actually logged into Hearthstone in a week, you should do that. Because you're going to get a golden Injured Blade Master and a golden Argent Commander. These represent the Horde and Alliance. And at least one of those cards is still played right now. So I love Injured Blade Master. It goes in and out of the meta constantly. So I love free Goldens. I especially love free Goldens that I might actually play. So
I lore nerd, well, actually moment here. The Argent Commander probably should have been like the Stormwind Champion or something, because technically they're neutral. The Argent Crusade is not Alliance.
Was the Blade Master neutral too? I feel like it was a mercenary in Warcraft 3, wasn't it?
I don't know. I didn't play Warcraft 3, so I'm not sure.
Blade Master was a merc.
But the Blade Master's an orc and the Argent Commander's a human, which I think is what they're going for. But
okay,
lore-wise, the Argent Crusade is not Alliance only.
It's been a while for Warcraft 3 for me. And my Blade Master lore is poor. Had Warcraft 3 Reforged come out like I thought it would have before WoW Classic, maybe I would have a better memory of all of this. But
I pre-ordered that when it was announced. I'm just sitting there waiting, man.
I forgot to pre-order it.
I want to play it.
Continued forgetting to pre-order it, and I guess I can still pre-order it if I want. I mean, I do want the mount that you get, so maybe I should just pre-order it. I know I'm going to play it. Might as well. All right, we have one more sponsor to thank today, and then we're going to get into card reveals. We're going to get back to Standard Hearthstone. Well, technically Wild as well, and Arena. I mean, these cards have effects across all.
We're going to get back to the next expansion.
Yeah, but our final sponsor to thank today is Harry's. They are back, our longest running sponsor. No one has supported the Angry Chicken as long as Harry's has. And, you know, Joss, the holidays are coming up, and I would like to let everyone in on a little secret for the gentlemen in their gift hunting lives. We have enough ties, and we have enough wallets. I mean, I don't know who needs who needs more than one wallet. Did you say lighters?
Yeah. The fancy flippy top ones that you can get engraved with initials.
I don't smoke, and there's not a lot of use for fires where I live because it's so warm all the time.
Everyone, whether they smoke or not in Canada, just always has lighters.
Is that the overdone gift in Canada? Is lighters? That's hilarious.
It's probably, and now that you mention it, it's like I have never we barbecue a lot and we have bonfires a lot. So that's probably why someone always has a lighter. Lighting
a gas stove with a Zippo terrifies me. That seems terrifying. But good to know. Good to know. I'm glad you mentioned engraving, because that's an option on Harry's. The handles, the pretty little weighted ergonomic handles that you put your razors onto. You can get them engraved. Nice. They've got gift boxes right now. And if you've never seen one of these Harry gift boxes, like I don't know what it is that's in like ingrained in our psyche as nerds, but we just love a good unboxing. And that's exactly what you get from the Harry's gift boxes. I have given Harry's gift boxes out every Christmas since Harry started sponsoring the show. Because I've been a Harry's convert since they started sponsoring the show. They're like, here, have some free samples, enjoy. I'm just like, okay, yeah, I'm an electric razor guy. And I took one stroke on my neck, and I was just like, oh, this is so smooth, and it smells so good, and it hydrates. It's lovely. It's so good. So you should go check them out. Harrys.com/TAC. Take a look at all of their gift offerings this holiday. And as a special offer for the fans of the Angry Chicken, we've partnered with Harry's to give you $5 off any shave set. This includes their limited edition holiday sets, which I just love so much. I give these away every year. When you go to Harrys.com/TAC, you're going to get that $5 off any shave set. Plus, you're going to get free shipping. You're going to get a weighted handle with option to engrave, 5-blade razor cartridges, foaming shave gel for a rich lather, travel cover to protect your blades, and it's packaged all in a handsome holiday gift box. So go check it out. And it's important that you check it out relatively soon, because free shipping ends on December 16th. So you need to act now. Just go to harrys.com/TAC. Again, that's harrys.com/TAC. And now, let's talk about all of the cards that were revealed at BlizzCon that we haven't talked about yet.
Hit it very hard.
Wanna blow something up? Time to pay!
So many cards to talk about. We're going in class order, and unless I mess something up, in ascending order of rarity. If you're trying to follow along at home, but don't worry, audio-only listeners, we are going to read what each card does, unless we get really excited about how it synergizes with a card we haven't talked about yet, and we apologize in advance for that. We're kicking off with Druid, Jocelyn, and we're kicking it off with the question we're going to be asking basically the rest of this entire episode, which is, you think Dragon insert class here is going to be viable post Descent of Dragons?
I'm pretty sure absolutely every class and all the minions are just going to be dragon or dragon adjacent.
There's one I'm pretty sure isn't going to be, but it's going to be a while before we get there. And I'm pretty sure I'll remember which one it is. Anyways, we're kicking off Druid, and we're going to talk about Emerald Explorer, a 6-mana 4/8 common Druid dragon that has taunt and a battle cry that reads, Discover a Dragon. Well, Dragon Druid's going to be a thing.
Mm-hmm. This seems really, really powerful, especially just discover a dragon on top of a 4/8 with taunt. Man,
it's a taunt minion where the health is absolutely so where you want it to be. This is such a health.
It is beefy.
The stats are so health biased. I love it. And the attack is still good. 4 attack can still get things done. So that's great. Taunt's worth a little bit. Dragon looks to be worth quite a bit because it's a dragon expansion. And discovering a dragon, that's just good for dragon. So for our listeners at home that might be relatively new to Hearthstone, and maybe you haven't lived through a previous dragon meta, we've never really had a dragon meta, but we've had metas where at least 1 or 2 dragon archetypes were meta viable. And the dragon tribe thing is always, if you're holding a dragon, do a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So the synergy you get from dragons is from having a dragon in your hand. So Emerald Explorer is really good for dragon synergy because when you play Emerald Explorer, it is going to then replace itself with a dragon in your hand, because that is a lot of times can be the downfall of a dragon deck. You play all your dragons and suddenly there's no dragons in your hand to continue the synergy train rolling.
Yeah, so this allows you to not only play out a dragon, so you don't have to sit there and wait and hold on to it, but then also you're going to have something in your hand, and it doesn't even necessarily matter if it's super playable because a lot of your other dragons are going to interact with it regardless. So I think this is great. And the one thing that we should also mention is we haven't really mentioned it too much because it impacted Warrior more than anything else. But with the changes to Discover and it not necessarily being as class specific as it was, it's not going to be as good because it's not like you can go explorer into explorer into explorer into explorer kind of infinitely, which is the way Discover used to work, right? It was so heavily class biased that this probably would have been an infinite Discover train. So I think this is we're going to have to wait and see, I think, because this is so dragon centric in terms of what's actually going to be part of the expansion, that we don't actually know what the pool is going to look like necessarily.
Right.
So it's kind of hard to say how often am I going to discover a good dragon? What are the weak parts of this dragon pool? We don't know, and we won't know until we see the other 100 cards that still need to come out, because there's going to be so many dragons in this set. They've already kind of said that. I think Celestalon even said that in our BlizzCon interview, just yes, here there be dragons.
Yes, absolutely. And I think I saw this comparison on competitive HS because I haven't thought about this card in forever. But Dark Irakoa, do you remember that? 6 mana, 5/7, had taunt, battle cry, gave your Cthulhu +3/+3. That got played. This is definitely going to get played.
Yeah.
Unless Druid is Dragon's just too slow. They all fall on their face, and I'm going to have to eat crow on this. But I find that unlikely. Especially.
Yeah, even if you are facing a lot of stuff, Druid's got a lot of heal now anyways, but even if you are facing a lot of aggro, turn 6 is not too late for something with this much health and this much attack to hit the board, because you're playing against a super aggressive opponent, they probably aren't playing high health minions. They're going to have to run 2, maybe 3 into this thing to kill it, and it's going to kill everything it touches with that 4 attack. So I think this is a great minion, and I don't think aggro is going to be too big of a problem for it.
I don't think so either. Unless poison meta leaves Battlegrounds and comes into standard. Breath of Dreams is the next druid card. It's a 2-mana rare druid spell that reads, draw a card. If you're holding a dragon, there it is, gain an empty mana crystal.
This seems really good in a dragon deck.
Why wouldn't you play this card? Yeah, if you're playing a dragon druid. This is extremely good.
We should also mention that these breath cards are one of the kind of like themes of the expansion. So each class is going to get a dragon breath card. So this is druids. I think we've seen druid, hunter, and paladin, shaman, I think, are the breath cards that we've actually seen so far. Oh, and rogue. So we've seen six of the, and warrior. Geez, we've seen almost all of them. Anyways, every class gets one.
You get a breath card. You get a breath card. You get a breath card. And we all hope they brush their teeth.
Yeah.
Enjoy that bad joke. This plus Emerald Explorer, like there's a lot more druid cards still to be revealed, but I'm already extremely keen on the idea of Dragon Druid. Because these two cards
Dragon Druid looks really, really strong. Even the next one, Ysera. So I had a chance to actually play at BlizzCon, like play the demo at BlizzCon, and I got Ysera, and I got Ysera alongside, I can't even remember what, but it doubled my number of dream portals in my deck, and then it just sat there summoning dragons for me. It was great. Ysera's really strong. You muted yourself, Garrett.
I totally muted myself. I was going to remind everybody for at home, Ysera Unleashed is the redo of Ysera. We talked a bit about her in our interview, but we haven't done a proper read of the card. So Ysera is coming back in a new form. She is 9 mana, 4/12, legendary druid dragon with a battle cry that reads, shuffle 7 dream portals into your deck when drawn, summon a random dragon. They have revealed the dream portal as well. It's technically a 9 mana spell, but it doesn't. I'm struggling to think of a scenario where that matters because it's a cast.
Yeah, it's the same as the book of Spectre. Wait, the mage thing. Technically, everything, the spells that they summon in cost 5, but you never actually pay the mana cost.
Yeah. This is the first druid card that I'm like not so hot on. I'm not sure about Ysera. I'm not sold on this.
Well, it worked out really well for me playing against the AI at BlizzCon. So therefore, it's going to totally be meta defining.
Yeah. Like, I think it could be, I've seen a lot of folks kind of mentioning Quest Druid and like, yeah, I think it could be cute with Nomi, but you can already get like 4 Nomis with Elise and Floop. So like, is that not, I'm not sure there's room for this in Quest Druid.
Well, now that you mention it, Floop is what I did. So I Ysera'd one turn and then Flooped the next turn so that I ended up with the 14 dream portals in my deck. And then it was just random dragon after random dragon, and they were all good.
Yeah. Although I don't think it matters if I think this is good or bad, because Emerald Explorer is going to discover you Ysera Unleash sometimes, and it's going to sometimes be the best choice. So you're gonna have to fight against this card at some point, whether it finds its way into the meta or not. Which is part of why Hearthstone's just a cool damn card game. Let's move on to Hunter. A lot of Hunter cards were revealed at BlizzCon and also in the official reveal trailer. Let's start with the commons with Corrosive Breath, a 2-mana common Hunter spell that reads, deal 3 damage to a minion. If you're holding a dragon, it also hits the enemy hero. Where have I heard this effect before? Oh, that's right. On one of the worst cards ever made, Cobra Shot. It costs 5 mana to do this effect. Now, granted, you didn't need to have a dragon in your hand to damage the enemy hero, but boy, has anything ever so clearly put into perspective just how horrible a card Cobra Shot was.
Yeah. But I mean, 3 damage to a minion for 2 mana, and then with a side effect if you happen to be holding a dragon. Now, the thing about Dragon Hunter is that we haven't actually seen what the legendary dragon is going to be for Hunter, right? And we've so far only seen of everything else. We've only seen one dragon in Hunter. So is Hunter, have we just not seen it yet? Or are they going to have to rely a lot on neutrals? Like, I don't know. Dragon Hunter so far of all of the potential, class plus dragon archetypes looks, I think, the weakest to me. But again, it depends how this all actually plays out, because this class is the one that has the biggest question mark in the dragon department for me, I think, other than like Shaman, where we've got like one card. But
I'm unsure with Hunter, but they're definitely not bottom of my dragon concern at the moment. Well, I guess if it's my dragon concern, it'd be the top of it. Either way. And frankly, go ahead and apply this, everybody listening, to any dragon card we talk about from here on out. If we say it's good, bad, average, whatever, just assume that there's like tiny little text at the bottom of that statement goes, assuming dragon works for this class.
Yeah,
I don't want to just wind myself saying that every single time we talk about one of these dragon cards, but this card I think is crazy good. I think this is a very good card if dragon works for Hunter.
Mm-hmm. So. Well, yeah, because I mean, explosive, this basically does what explosive rune does for mage, except for it's specifically targeted. It's not whatever they play into it, right? Like, it has that rest of the 6 damage goes face. I know it's split 3 and 3, but still same idea. 6 damage split between a minion and face, except you get to choose where it goes, which I think is cool.
Thinking, like, I look at this and I'm like, well, it does damage to the face if you have a dragon. I think Dragon Hunter needs to be aggressive. And it's like, because of this card. Like, I'm like, is that a thing? If so, this card definitely goes in that deck. So, I don't know. We've only seen one Hunter dragon so far. We're going to talk about it in a second. I think it's a good dragon, but yeah, I'm undecided on Dragon Hunter as of this moment. Before we talk about that dragon, let's talk about a Dwarven Sharpshooter, a 1-mana 1/3 common Hunter minion that reads, your hero powers can target minions. This card is insane. There's no fine print on this one. This card is just good. This is just a good card.
What was it? Because Hunter used to have a card that did this, that allowed your hero power to target minions, but I feel like it was
TGT.
Yeah, and I thought, wasn't it like 2 or 3 mana itself or something?
It was 3.
It definitely wasn't 1 mana.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of the card. Chat room will probably come.
Chat room will tell us. Yeah.
I do not remember the name of it. It saw 0 play. I distinctly remember us being excited about it on the show because the Steam Weedle Sharpshooter. Thank you. I need to type that in and remember how much mana is a 2/3 mana. Is that really? It was that cheap? Wow.
Even still, the difference between 1 and 2 mana, like, you can literally play this on turn 1. It has 3 health. It's probably going to live. And then you can use your hero power next turn to help control the board. Yeah, that's pretty solid.
It was GVG. I thought it was TGT because it didn't see play and it had to do with your hero power. So I just assume when those two things happen, I assume it was Grand Tournament because basically nothing saw play if you weren't Shaman, and the cards probably had something to do with your hero power. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's 1-mana 1/3. Already, I'm interested. I don't care what else is going on, and it has text that matters and is good. Yeah. Okay. Cool. This is I think this is also just a really good evolution of strong 1-drop design, because this isn't going to just completely snowball the game. I say hesitantly, because you could. Boy, does this set you up to just take care of any 3/2s. 3/2s are just a non-issue if you're playing this on 1. For your opponent to follow up. But like, this isn't Secret Keeper or old school Undertaker.
It doesn't grow out of control.
Exactly. Like, this is a fair minion that it still has an upside and is still more powerful than your average 1-drop. I love this card. I love everything about this card. Maybe Beast Synergy would be too much. If they threw a Beast tag on this, it'd be too much.
Well, yeah, because then it would be OP Dire Mole, right?
100%. Yeah, it'd just be powerful.
Yeah, and Dire Mole was already powerful enough, so you could not throw a beast tag on this.
Yeah, my Odd Hunter is thinking about things right now. All right, final common for Hunter is the Primordial Explorer. This is a 3-mana 2/3 common Hunter dragon that has poisonous, and also a battle cry that reads, discover a dragon. So all of my ranting about how good a dragon that gives another dragon into your hand that I talked about when we talked Emerald Explorer and Druid, copy, paste, boom, right here. That's a great effect for a dragon if you're chasing a dragon archetype. Also, 3 mana minions that give cards are historically meta. They historically find their way into the meta. And I can't claim this, like the thought occurred to me, but I couldn't think of all the minions off the top of my head. But in competitive Hearthstone subreddit, someone by the name of Exploding Guitar pointed out Curious Glimmerroot, Blink Fox, and Valpyra Scoundrel as really strong examples of that fact. So this
has poisonous, which, you know, is not necessarily to be overlooked.
It's something. Traditionally in standard, poisonous isn't really worth that much. But
it's still there.
It's still something. You're right.
This card does.
Like, I would like a little bit, just a tiny bit makes up for the fact that it's a 2/3 for 3 mana. Like ever so slightly, because it has more, trade potential. And I frankly, if this is going to be a 3 mana card, and I had to choose between a 3/2 or a 2/3, I'd rather have a 2/3 with poisonous. Because if it had 2 health, it's pretty much negligible to find ways to deal with this without letting any value be gained from that poisonous, because there's just so many ways to deal 2 damage without minion trading in this game.
Yeah.
But 3, that's all right. That's all right. There might be scenarios because of that 3 health where the poisonous is actually worth something. So
it doesn't not matter.
Do we have today's episode title? Is that it? Yeah, I like this card quite a bit. I don't think it's enough with Corrosive Breath to sell me on Dragon Hunter out the gate, just looking at these 2 cards. But I really like Primordial Explorer and I really like Corrosive Breath. So I think the potential is there. I really do. I'm excited to see the other Hunter cards. It's just we've seen a lot of them already. So
we have, and they seem to be very hero power dependent. I was actually surprised. I mean, after we talked about Dwarven Sharpshooter, I mean, the other 3 cards that we're going to talk about now all have to do with using your hero power as a hunter. And it's just like, well, but dragons are the new hotness. Why are we going back to hero power town?
Yeah. I don't know. But I do know we need to talk about Face Stalker, a 2 mana, 2/3 rare hunter beast that reads, after you use your hero power, cast a secret from your deck. And audio crew, if you're not looking at it, doesn't matter because you just heard me say beast. But damn, this looks like a dragon. It is really important to hammer home. This is hashtag not a dragon.
Yes.
Not a dragon.
So Face Stalkers were from BC, right? Because I remember taming these things just outside of Shatrath.
They have shown up,
they're
I
definitely
believe.
beasts, but they look dragon-esque.
Yes. Yeah.
Like maybe cousins.
I distinctly remember going out into Outland for the first time on my hunter and seeing one and being like, you will be mine.
Yes.
Like, what a cool ass creature design. I mean, I think this just goes immediately into Secret Hunter decks. It has B synergy. This is a great secret effect.
It's a 2 mana, 2/3.
It's a killer card.
Yeah.
This is good. The Face Stalker just good. And thank God, because we have a lot of other cards to talk about. So next, Toxic Reinforcements. 1 mana epic hunter spell, and it's a side quest. We explained side quests on episode, was it 339, I believe, was our post-BlizzCon episode?
I believe so.
I left myself a note and forgot to look at it. Yes. By the way, also, if you want to hear us talk about all of the Galakron cards, we're not talking about them today because we talked about them on episode 339. We did a deep dive into Galakron. However, we did miss a couple of priest minions, and we're going to talk about them today. Don't worry. But episode 339. But we also talked about the concept of a side quest. Just little dust off in case you don't remember. They're non-legendaries. They do not start in your hand like legendary quests. And they're also not as powerful, but they're easier to complete. And also, you can put more than one of them in your deck if you wanted to, because they're not legendary. So again, Toxic Reinforcements, 1 mana, epic hunter side quest. That the quest is to use your hero power 3 times. The reward, if you use your hero power 3 times, is to summon 3 1/1 leper gnomes. So they're gonna have that death rattle, deals 2 damage to the opponent. Other than that, they're just 1/1s. I think this is interesting for odd and wild. I don't think this is good enough for standard. Like, unless hyper aggressive hunter takes off, I'm not sure.
Which maybe it will. Who knows? But
yeah,
I love the flavor of this card, of them like on the ship with the slingshot for the leopard gnomes. I just picture them exploding on the enemies and doing damage. And it's so gross, but so whimsically wonderful.
Are leopard gnomes just Hearthstone's version of minions? This just reminds me of minions.
Yeah. Oh, like the little yellow dudes.
Yeah.
I was like, Hearthstone's full of minions. What are you talking
Sorry, I should have specified.
I'm on board now.
I forget the animation studio that does that. Doesn't matter. Anyway, yeah, I don't think this is good. I don't think this is good. I think it'd be really cool. I hope I'm wrong about this one, because I think it'd be really cool if hyper aggressive, like hero power forward hunter, like takes off. But yeah, Leon Lewis in the chat room says they don't explode, they hug.
That's true.
Give me a big hug.
I feel icky.
Yeah. Which I finally don't anymore. And then final hunter card for today, getting into the legendary category, is Dragonbane, a 4-mana 3/5 legendary hunter mech. Hashtag not a dragon. After you use your hero power, I'm sorry, I meant to say inspire. Inspire, deal 5 damage to a random enemy minion. Why didn't they just make this inspire?
It is kind of weird because they literally have a word for that. But I don't know, maybe it works differently on the back end. I don't know.
Certain.
All of these hero power things should just be called inspire.
I am certain it's some kind of weird internal thing where, like, well, inspire isn't currently in the standard meta, and there's no other inspire cards, so we don't want to confuse. And I'm just like, no, I just disagree with you entirely. Just call it inspire. Just format your cards consistently, please.
Yeah.
Consistency now. Consistency now. Anyways.
Maybe it's because TGT just isn't in standard anymore and they think people just won't know. I don't know. But I'm on board with you. I think they should have just used the keyword that they have in the game.
Yeah. That being said, I think this card is kind of crazy. I think this is a really good card. Dealing 5 damage to a random enemy means it could go face, which is a good or a bad thing. But usually for Hunter, it's a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that being said, I've seen a bit of arms up in the air about this type of RNG. Some folks are not fans of the Ragnaros RNG.
Yep.
And I don't necessarily blame them. I just don't think Rag is the greatest offender in my mind. I've never had Ragnaros placed under greatest offender. He's close for sure, especially in the early days of Hearthstone esports. Ragnaros, so many games came down to lucky rag shots.
Well, and I think Rag himself wasn't necessarily the biggest offender because he was still a minion that could be dealt with. I think when it really started to get out of control was when that became a hero power for warriors because of the quest. Like when they just constantly had access to it every single turn and there was nothing that you could do to change that, that was when it started to feel real bad. But I think this is fine because, it does have a cost associated with it, right? Like you have to use your hero power. So, you know, as much as we're talking about consistency with Inspire, like, do we actually think that using your hero power is going to, like, is this now enough support to make weaving in your hero power something you're going to want to do?
I think this card is, yes. I don't even think it needs to be the game plan. Like we were talking about, I was saying with Toxic Reinforcements is like a hero power heavy aggro, like hard aggro hunter deck going to be a thing. It'd be cool if it is. I don't even think that matters with Dragonbane. I think 5 random damage guaranteed to go to something that isn't yours or your own face. Like this is definitely going to hit something that benefits you in some way. I think that's good enough on its own. You trigger this once. That is, I think, a 6 mana turn spent well. That's how I feel about it. It's like it's like so close to Ragnaros. Yeah, Ragnaros is 8, this is 5, but this can come out
at this
on
point
6.
in the game. 5 damage is going to do the same thing that 8 damage does 3 turns later.
Yeah. And it's a 3/5 for 4. Like it's nothing to scoff at in terms of stats. It's not the worst thing in the world. And again, it's health heavy. You want at least the chance for this card to stick around if your enemies, your opponent cannot answer it, and being health heavy rather than attack heavy is in its favor in that regard. So I like this. Liking this card is probably the wrong way to put this. I'm mildly concerned for this card. It kind of shares some of the concerns of the community, but I think this is a good card that is definitely going to make it into the standard meta. Just seems super strong. Mage time, and we've already got a contender for the cutest card in the set.
It's one. It's not just a contender. It wins. It wins the whole year. This is it.
I'm going to laugh so hard when something so sickeningly saccharine cute comes out and you have to retract that statement.
Is it possible? It's impossible.
Yeah.
Azure Explorer just is it. It's chewing on a book. Look at its little cheeks. How could, come on.
I wonder if that's a Bone Weevil Harmon Quest reference. Sorry. This is a frequently referenced quote in our household if anyone's a Harmon Quest fan. Anyways, let's go out of order for the visual because I messed up my alphabetical order. Azure Explorer is a 4-mana, 2/3 common mage dragon with spell damage +2 and battle cry discover a dragon. Well,
and it's got such cute little toes. I just want to wiggle them.
I do too.
Sorry.
I do too. So we've been riding high on how good Battlecry Discover a Dragon is for dragons and a dragon deck, so you can do dragon things. This is the first one where I think it's just too crappily costed for it. Like, this is super slow. I traditionally, like, spell damage is below taunt in terms of I don't care about this effect in most cases, unless you're doing a Malagos deck or something of that.
This should be 3 mana. I don't understand why it's 4. It makes me so sad.
Yeah, this card just seems, to me, this card seems bad. We've been pretty, I like all of the dragon cards we've talked about so far, except for Azure Explorer. I don't think this is a good card. And as a result, do not have a lot of hope for Dragon Mage. Obviously, if Dragon Mage is the thing, I think this gets a home anyway. But if this is what Dragon Mage has to work with, it's going to be an uphill battle, I think.
Unless, which I think given Malagos, which we're going to talk about in a minute, like, I don't know if they could, but unless they're going to somehow end up with some sort of, like, play this thing and the next dragon you play costs less or something like they do for elementals, like, I don't know, but this just seems ridiculously overcosted. Like, I mean, okay, so yes, it's a legendary, but we just talked about Dragonbane, the 4-mana hunter card. That's a 3/5 with an effect. Like, why is this 4 mana? I don't understand. It's way too much. And I'm so sad because I just want to play all the cute cards. Hearthstone, why? Why do you do this to me?
Designing less than stellar cards is intentional and important for card games.
I know, but
for sure.
Why did they have to put the cute art on the badly designed card?
There is also possible that it was intentional, that they shifted a larger portion of the power pie as far as mage dragons are concerned to a dragon we haven't seen yet, or a dragon synergy piece that we haven't seen yet. That is also possible. It is possible that this is entirely intentional, and from who knows? It's either intentionally bad, which is fine. That's a thing in card games, or it's a balanced thing that we are not seeing all of the pieces
that we don't know
yet.
yet. Yeah,
that's how I feel about this card. So yeah, as for right now, in a vacuum, I think this card is bad and it's slower than dirt. So let's talk about Learn Draconic, which the art makes no sense because it's Reno. We all know he already speaks Draconic, but it's a 1-mana common mage spell. It's the mage side quest. The side quest is to spend 8 mana on spells, not spells that didn't start in your deck, nothing crazy like that, just spells. Just spend 8 mana on spells. The reward is a 6/6 dragon.
Which a 6/6 body, if you have a lot of spells in your deck and you're going to be casting anyways, then I don't really see why you wouldn't do this. Because like you said, it doesn't have a crazy condition and it's not cast 8 spells. It's spend 8 mana. So if you're going to be spending mana on spells anyways, I think this probably finds a slot. At one point, randomly during the game, you're going to get a 6/6 body on board just because you've been doing what you were trying to do anyway.
I am leaning towards it gets a pick on Discover. I'm not sure it gets a slot for me. It's This is a new thing, so I'm not entirely set in stone on how I'm evaluating the value of side quests. But
it is kind of hard because they don't start in your hand, right? So you don't know that right from the get-go you're going to be able to start doing this, but I don't know. I think that there could be some sort of like cheapy mage spell deck that just focuses on a whole bunch of cheap stuff, like something a little bit more aggressive, which maybe that's why Azure Explorer is costed the way that it is, because if you start throwing that in with a whole bunch of cheapy mage spells to, you know, be firing missiles at your opponent's face, maybe they don't want that to get out of hand.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not set in stone on this. I really am I feel like I'm just kind of flowing in my opinions on side quests. The Hunter one is just bad, I think. But this one, it's a good effect. And like if you flame strike once, you're 1 mana off. So it's not the worst thing in the world that it doesn't start in your hand, because if you're playing later game spells, you're getting a much larger chunk of this completed at a time. And frankly, because you could have 2 of these in your deck and all that kind of stuff, like this would definitely be too good if it was guaranteed to start in your hand. So I don't know. I feel like side quests are really things that you're going to have to sit and really play around with, because they have, I don't know, they're just so different. And a chat room's asking if you can have both copies in play. And this is something I don't actually know. You can play it alongside secrets and you can play it alongside other quests, but I don't know. I would imagine they work the same way secrets do, in that if you have Learn Draconic in play, you can't play another one. Just like if you had Ice Barrier in play, you can't play another Ice Barrier. I don't know if they've actually confirmed that that's how it works, but I would assume you can't have 2 copies of the same thing up at the same time. My BlizzCon memories are not the greatest, because I talked to a lot of Hearthstone devs at a party where alcohol was involved, but I'm pretty sure this is confirmed, that you can only have one.
You can only have one copy.
One copy. Yeah, active at a time. I'm pretty sure. I can't sadly source that because honestly don't remember. I talked about Hearthstone to so many different Hearthstone devs. It could have been Thompson. It could have been Celestalon. I'm not sure. But I'm fairly certain someone confirmed to me that you can only have one side quest active at a time, or at least unique side quest. I don't know what weird universe you end up where you have some other class's side quests and you could have maybe 2 side quests and play at the same time. But anyway, I don't think you can have 2 Learn Draconics active at the same time. So, yeah. Also, don't try and get technical questions answered at parties. You're not going to remember the finer points about everything. All right, let's talk about the legendary for mages. Malygos, aspect of magic. We're getting a new version of Malygos. Heading to mage only. This Malygos is going to cost you 5 mana to slam on the board. Has 2 attack, 8 health. It's a legendary mage dragon with a battle cry that reads, if you're holding a dragon, discover an upgraded mage spell. And you might be wondering,
this is cool.
What the hell does that mean? Well, this is what the hell it means. There are.
That is the best graphic you've ever done.
Thank you, everyone. Podcast listeners, you really owe it yourself to go to, I don't know, roughly the 1 hour 30-minute mark of the VOD. Just a little bit at the time of recording this, there's a little extra crap at the front of it, so it's probably a little shallower than that in the timeline, but it's around that time. And see this graphic, because there are, let's see, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There are, at least that we know of, 9 confirmed upgraded spells to discover. And I believe it's been confirmed that that's the full pool, which I hope it is, because that makes it a relatively small size pool for you to discover, because you're going to be looking at 3 spells at a time. And bear with me, and I also need to clear my throat. I'm sorry, because there's a lot of cards to read here, but I'm just going to rapid fire it really fast. Malygos' Flame Strike is 7 mana, just like Flame Strike already is, but it deals 8 damage to all enemy minions. Malygos' Missiles is 1 mana and deals 6 damage, randomly split among all enemies. Malygos' Polymorph. It's Polymorph, as you know. It transforms a minion into a 1/1 sheep, but it only costs you 1 mana to cast it. Malygos' Intellect draws you 4 cards for your 3 mana. Malygos' Tome adds 3 random mage spells to your hand for 1 mana. Malygos' Nova freezes all enemy minions for 1 mana. Malygos' Fireball, 8 damage wherever you want it to go for 4 mana. Malygos' Frostbolt, 0 mana for 3 damage to a character and freezing it. And Malygos' Explosion is going to cost you 2 mana to deal 2 damage to all enemy minions. All of these spells are very powerful. And certainly you're thinking to yourself, oh man, I want the big ones. I want Flame Strike every time. I want Fireball every time. But I can't guarantee because I'm discovering. I think it's really important to consider that Malygos only costs 5 mana. Because these lower cost spells are still extremely powerful. And may be the exact tool you need at that moment in the game. And there's even a 0 mana option in Malygos' Frostbolt. Like if you're really up shit's creek, like it's turn 5 and you're like, you're in a situation where like, if I don't do something, I die next turn, you might be able to find an out through a 0 mana Frostbolt. Like this is cool. This is, this to me, I look at Malygos Aspect of Magic and like this custom pool of empowered spells and I go, oh, it's Zephrys. It's Vacation from Zephrys. They finished designing Zephrys, and this was their vacation. They're like, we want to do something that might give you the answer you need in a specific scenario, but we would like to design the card in a weekend as opposed to a year worth of development or years worth of development, as we heard about Zephrys. So,
I think, I mean, the only thing that I can say about Malygos is I feel like on the topic of the cheaper spells, I think we've seen it before with Kazakis. You know, everyone was at first going for like the 5 and 10 mana spells, but then when you actually look at the effects that you're getting for the amount of mana that you're paying in that 1 mana slot, like I think there's actually a lot to be said about the crazy value you're getting for 1 mana. Like 1 mana polymorph, insane. 1 mana 3 mage spells, so good. Like you don't always have to get, you know, the big damagey things. I think there's a lot of really crazy value in some of the lower spells. Like looking at this, I don't even know, maybe Malygos's Explosion possibly isn't the greatest, but I feel like everything else in this pool is pretty good in almost any scenario. So he seems like a good amount of flexible without too many downsides.
I agree, and again, it's Discover. So, like, it's not like
Discover,
It's not like if Malygos' Explosion is the wrong tool for the job at the time, and it comes up, like you're not forced to pick it.
That's what I mean. I think with the 3 Discover slots, you're pretty much guaranteed to get something that will be good and will work for you, whatever situation you're in. Because I don't think there's that many bad choices here.
I agree. I think this is a good card. Yeah, I don't think it's enough by itself to. I'm saying this relatively lightly, to save Mage. Mage isn't in the best place right now. But you know what Mage is probably your best bet on ladder right now is Highlander Mage. And I bet it can find a place for Malygos Aspect of Magic, and I bet it's going to have a good time finding a place for that card. So I like this card a lot.
Yeah, it does have the caveat of holding a dragon. So again, it's going to depend on if we get other dragon-y things outside of the Azure Explorer, because the Azure Explorer is not the greatest. So we'll have to see what else is offered to actually make sure you're triggering this. But
yeah. That being said, though, I mean, if you're a Highlander deck, like you're so inconsistent in your draws, you know, maybe pay him 1 more mana than you definitely should for Azure Explorer to Discover. You probably wouldn't feel that as much. So if Highlander Dragon Mage becomes a thing, then I think definitely Azure Explorer finds a place, just because it doesn't matter. I want to discover a dragon. I want to up my chances of always having a dragon in my hand. So
I think too, wasn't there like a magic number? I feel like, I can't remember if it was like 5 or 7, that if you had whatever the magic number was, then you were basically almost always going to have a dragon in hand. And I can't remember how big that dragon package was, but I remember there was like a magic number when like Dragon Priest was a thing that was like, you want to aim for this many dragons. Any more? Cool. But you know, this many dragons basically makes it so you always have enough dragons in hand.
I don't honestly do not remember that conversation at all.
How big is the dragon package, you guys? Can someone tell me how big a dragon package is?
Never mind. How big is the dragon package is definitely today's episode title. I recant whatever I thought it was before. I was mistaken. It's clearly this. So love Malygos. Think it's great. Let's move on and talk about two Paladin cards. Starting with a common Sandbreath, 1 mana common Paladin spell that reads, give a minion +1/+2, give it Divine Shield if you're holding a dragon. Getting formatting here. All of the other cards start if you're holding a dragon, X. Now this is do X if you're holding a dragon.
Calm down, Garrett. It'll be okay.
I cannot express how batshit this drives me. I just want to screech. Anyways. I really want mid-range Dragon Paladin to be a thing, and I think this card is going to be better than any of us think it possibly could be if that becomes an archetype for Paladin. We haven't, frankly, we just haven't seen enough for Paladin for me to really know. But
yeah, some of them are really tough because we haven't seen all the dragons and all the synergies. I mean, only 2 Paladin cards, like.
Yeah, and it's
hard to call at this point.
Anyone from Blizzard listening, do not take that as a complaint. You revealed so many cards at this announcement. Thank you. It's been amazing. You can only announce so many cards. We can only talk about so many cards. So just keep doing what you did for this expansion. But yeah, you're right. We just haven't seen enough Paladin cards. So I feel like I have no sense if Dragon Paladin is going to work or not. Because the only dragon we've seen is Nosdormu the Timeless, a 4-mana legendary 8/8. Yes, I said it correctly, a 4-mana 8/8 with the battle cry that reads, set each player to 10-mana crystals. This is the only Paladin dragon we've seen so far. Now, granted, I mean, if nothing else, developing an 8/8 for 4 mana late game, so like say you're just ignoring this battle cry entirely, it's a little gross. It's good. That's solid. So I'm already a little bit on board. But beyond that, this card is weird. And I'm not sure how it's going to work in the wild. Well, in the standard. So, because it does, if you're using this on curve, it's going to give your opponent the 10 mana initiative. Right? Like you drop this on
That's
4.
True, yeah.
Bam. Set each player to 10 mana crystals. Your opponent's going to be the first one to get to use.
It's 10 empty mana, or like it fills up the rest of your mana crystals with empty ones.
I didn't think about this until now. It doesn't say empty mana crystals.
It doesn't.
So never mind. I don't think this actually passes initiative to your opponent.
Yeah. Does this work like Kuhn does, where it's, well, he says refresher mana crystals.
They confirmed that it was empty.
They confirmed it was empty? Okay.
I hate your formatting. You're bad at it. Stop. Stop. Just write what the card does.
I assumed empty too, but I think it's worth a question, right? Because it comes into play when talking about initiative. Like, do you get to be the one to use the 10 first, or do they? And I think it would be totally overpowered if you got both an 8/8 on board on turn 4 and the ability to use 10 mana crystals after that, before your opponent had a chance to react. It would be super busted. So
yeah, okay. Well,
this is the balanced way to do this. I wasn't sure because
that makes more
in
sense.
the past, we've said it's said empty or full or whatever. Yeah. So
this is just going to be the episode where I go to war against how poor.
I know. I'm trying to like pull you away and like explain my thinking.
Audio listeners at home, our visual right now are the only 2 Paladin cards that have been revealed side by side. Sandbreath has 3 lines of text. Nosdormu has 2 lines of text. You could fit empty on the card.
But then there would be the question, if I had 6 mana crystals, would it empty out the other 2 or blah, 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 blah. Like, but anyways, yeah. Point is, I think this is kind of cool. I want to see Paladins play around with it because I think Paladins have a lot of like really cool late gamey type stuff that, you know, even if your opponent, depending on what the meta looks like, but like even if your opponent gets 10 mana crystals and they get the initiative, like I think Paladin might just have enough stuff to do that's better.
Possibly. That you're absolutely right. That's kind of where my brain goes. Is Paladin has more control than most classes, right? Like warriors probably, or maybe priest, like priest, paladin, warrior. These are like the top of the how much control do they have? This is where we throw up our arms and go, for the love of God, can I just keep board? And so even giving your opponent the first initiative at 10 full mana earlier than you're supposed to, I think it could be a trap. It's bait. It's board building bait. I would like to coin the triple Bs right now. Board building bait. Because you're like, say you give 10 mana to an aggro deck and they just, well, because it's Zulok, and just blah.
Yeah, they just
fill
empty
the
their
board.
hand. Yeah.
And you're like, cool. Well, I couldn't have Equality or Consecrated this early in the game typically, but now I can. You just clear the
And
board.
now you're out of cards. So now what?
Right. So that's we've never really been able to play the game this way as a paladin before, and so I think that's an important consideration. I've seen a lot of people batting that idea around, and I agree with it. I don't think this is the two things I saw was kind of that, like, ooh, it's bait, or this card is broken because you can play an 8/8 for 4 mana late game. I like that is good. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's that good. Like it's not like we have the things decks are doing right now in Hearthstone. That's fine. I think that's fine. I'm going to argue 4 mana 8/8 post turn 10 is totally fine in the current standard meta. And yeah, I think even post the wild cards leaving, that will still be true. So I like Nosdormu the Timeless. I think we have a real chance at Nosdormu being a meta
Being
card.
playable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Jocelyn, the high roll potential for Witchy Lackey on 3-drop evolves. Oh.
Yeah.
I can't make a more terrifying. I can't come up with a sound to make into the microphone that truly conveys the terror that is lurking in my brain right now.
But I mean, I think it's okay because I mean, Witchy Lackey can evolve into this, sure. But I mean, how many years of Hearthstone have we been playing where people have been playing Mountain Giants on turn 3 or 4? Thank you, Warlocks. Like, it's not unheard of or unprecedented. And this at least involves 2 layers of RNG before it happens, right? Because first of all, you have to get the Witchy Lackey and then you have to do the evolve on a 3-drop. And so like that's 2 pools of random before we hit this. It's not nearly as consistent as tap, tap, tap Mountain Giant.
Yeah. So I think Nosdormu is good. I don't think it's broken, but I think Nosdormu is good. I think it's going to find a home. I don't know if at this moment, I don't know if him being a dragon plays any role. I'm not even sure it's relevant.
Yeah, I think just 4 mana 8/8 with this effect is the thing that you have to think about. I don't think you need to build dragons around it. Also, thank you, Baton, in the chat room for looking up Dragon Priest. Had 7 dragons, so the size of a dragon package is 7, which I couldn't remember if it was 5 or 7, but 7 sounds right. I remember it being not quite a third of the deck. Yeah. Slightly. Oh my God. You just made it worse. I made it suggestive. You made it worse.
You made it worse by reacting to it. I just said something. It could have gone under the radar. And actually, that's my favorite. When I make like little remarks like that, my favorite thing is when the co-hosts don't catch it. And one person on Twitter tweets at me the next day like, yo, Garrett, I caught that. Nice work. That's like my favorite is when no one on the actual podcast noticed it. So.
Oh, I noticed.
Yep. So, you may have noticed, by the way, that every class we just talked about is technically a League of Explorer class.
Yep.
Which means we can call this the switch into the League of Evil when we get into Priest, where somehow I'm going to blame it on the fact that we were literally dying of plague. Our first episode back from BlizzCon. We didn't talk about Time Rip or Fate Weaver. These are 2 invoke cards that will buff up what I'm pretty sure is worst Galakron in the game, the Priest Galakron. I don't think this is a great Galakron, but it doesn't matter.
No, I think he's the worst iteration, I think.
Yeah. But let's start with the rare, which is Time Rip. It's a 5 mana rare priest spell that reads Destroy a minion, invoke Galakron. And as a little bit of a refresher, when an invoke card is played, the hero power of Galakron will be activated as long as the player has a Galakron hero card. Doesn't matter where Galakron is. Hand, deck, in play, all of this counts. So for each class, whatever that Galakron's hero power is, when you play an invoke card, it's going to trigger the Galakron hero power. Also, invoke cards are needed to upgrade Galakron's battle cry 2 per upgrade. So.
Right. So basically, Time Rip and Fate Reaver read, do the thing and blah.
Yeah, unless you really you tripped when you were making your deck list and you just forgot
and
to
you
put
don't have
Galakron.
Yeah. So yeah, Time Rip is destroy a minion and add a random priest minion to your hand for 5 mana.
Yes, because that's what Galakron's Wit does. That's the hero power for the priest Galakron,
Right.
which is why we're not too keen on Priest Galakron, because we're not really sure adding a random Priest minion to your hand is all that good. But Time Rip is. I would make an argument, a case for Time Rip being a good card, because it's the same price as Assassinate and has a much higher upside of giving you a minion, just putting it in your hand. So that is good. Also, Priest historically struggle with killing 4 attack minions. Sorry, not 4 health, 4 attack minions. So that's good too, even though 5 mana is probably a little bit more than you want to spend to kill most 4 attack minions, unless it's a Ysera. So, it's interesting.
I mean, there's something to be said too about this just having the flexibility of 1 card slot, right? Is you can kill anything from 1 to infinity attack with this 1 card, right? So it doesn't have the condition that Pain or Death has. So you could put like Time Rip and what's the other one? Oh, I'm totally blanking
Snake
on it
Lady's
now.
on it. Lazula's on it.
Yeah, Snake Lady's
spend
on it.
all your mana, destroy.
Forbidden something. Yeah, forbidden something.
Choose your own shadow word is what it should be called.
Yes.
That's what I think of it. Yeah, I just think with what priests are currently doing and are still going to be capable of, I'm not considering Time Rip as a one of at all. I'm just like, they don't need the help. I don't think it's a card slot outside of a Galakron deck. So that's
and this is the thing. Like, I don't think that Priest, and this is why I really hope that they do something about the whole Inner Fire Divine Spirit shenanigans, because I would really like to see them play around with other stuff. And it seems like it's been quite a long time since they've done that. And they always seem to like default back to the idea of the combo. Just combo Priest always comes in and out. And I want to see them do other cool things, like, you know, maybe play their super apocalyptic dragon dude. Even if he is the worst.
Slash shrug.
Yeah.
I don't know. But let's continue on with the Priest Invoke cards with Fate Weaver, a 4-mana 3/6 Epic Priest Dragon that has a battle cry that reads, if you've invoked twice, reduce the cost of cards in your hand by 1. So this card is not invoking on its own right. It has a trigger if you have invoked 2 times. This is a good effect if you have invoked twice, and the kind of effect I would want when I'm adding random minions to my hand that I have very little control over whether I can actually afford to play them or not. I'm still... don't get me wrong, this is not enough to make me go, Priest Galakron, great, we're doing it day 1, it's going to work. I think it's far from that, but I think this is a really good card for what the Priest Galakron does.
Yeah, I can see that. And are we going to talk about the invoking neutrals, or are we going to move?
I figured we'd talk about that when we get to just the end and just talk neutrals.
Okay, cool. I just wasn't sure because there's a couple of other invoke effects. Because my point about this is to make Fate Weaver good is you have to have more ways to invoke that work and are powerful than just 2 time rips, right? So I'm assuming we'll probably get 1, if not 2 more things that priests will be able to do specifically in order to invoke. But without seeing those invoke cards, I don't know how good all of this is going to be.
Yeah, I mean, I think we saw an uneven number of invoke cards for the Galakron classes. I think Rogue was the one we saw the most cards for. So I have to assume there's more priest-specific invoke cards.
Yeah. Which, if that's the case, maybe we can revisit the idea of a Galakron deck. But yeah, I mean, I do think Fate Weavers is pretty cool, but I would probably also want to be playing Fate Weaver on like 4 or 5. Like, I want to be playing it earlier on. So I also then want to have invoked twice by the time I get to turn 4. So I want something to do that's super cheap to invoke Galakron, like on turns like 1, 2, 3. So that I can Fate Weaver on 4. Then I think this is good. But outside of like knowing what that is, I don't know how good I can call Galakron. I just hope they get something cheap.
I feel like a Galakron priest would want the game to go long. So I'm not like, yeah, Fate Weaver would be good on curve for sure. But I don't think it's terrible if it's late, because I think there's an argument
thinking,
for,
like, if you...
I have like 9 random minions in my hand. I would like to discount all of them, please.
Well, but see, every time you invoke, though, you're going to be getting random minions. So you've got your normal card draw that you'll be getting through the first few turns of the game. Plus, if you've invoked twice, so if you have 2 super cheap, like 2 mana things that you're doing, that's also 2 extra minions that have been put in your hand because of Galakron's wit, right?
Oh, no, I agree.
Yeah, I mean, you would probably have a hand of like 6 or 7 cards. So
yeah, it doesn't matter.
It's still a powerful turn 4 play with a 3/6, right?
Yeah. I'm not sure it matters. I'm reaching. I think Galakrond is bad in Priest. I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah,
see
I
how
might
this
be
works.
trying to make something work that just won't work. But
Yeah. Let's move on to the rogue cards we haven't talked about yet because they had nothing to do with Galakrond. Which kicks us off with Candle Breath, a 6-mana common rogue spell that reads draw 3 cards, costs 3 less while you're holding a dragon. This is the epitome of this card is stupid good. As long as Dragon Rogue is a thing and actually works. Otherwise, doesn't matter.
But all we've seen so far is Waxadread, right? And
Yes.
Galakrond himself, because he's a hero card, doesn't count as a dragon, right? So yeah, we're not quite sure because Waxadread, I don't think he's great. So I don't know. Again, we'll have to see what kind of dragons we get in Rogue if this is going to work or not. But if Rogue can find enough dragons, this is gross.
Yes.
3 cards for 3 mana? Ew.
Preparation nerf, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thank God. This is just lives or dies on Dragon Rogue. So that's kind of really my only thought on Candle Breath. Dragon's Horde is another card. It's a 1-mana rare rogue spell that reads discover a legendary minion from another class.
With no qualifier on it. It's just a 1-mana spell, do the thing. So
Yep.
I think this is good.
I do too.
Mm-hmm.
I do too. I really don't have much else to say about Dragon's Horde. I think this is good. I think you're going to sometimes find it randomly also, even if you're not, it doesn't work for the archetype that you're playing. It is a good card. And I'm with you on Waxadread, a 5-mana 7/5 legendary rogue dragon with a death rattle that reads shuffle a candle into your deck that resummons Waxadread when drawn. I mean, yes, Auctioneer isn't gone, but it also, like, we haven't seen it return to the standard meta in a long time.
Mm-hmm.
And also, there's a lot of decks right now in the current standard meta, wild cards or not, that survives very well. And this is the kind of card, obviously, you would want in a deck where you survive. Your plan is to go late so that you get value out of this. Rogues do have obviously other ways to get through it. Myra's is still a thing. We're going to be drawing.
I was going to say, I was literally just looking it up. I'm like, wait, is Myra still in standard? I can't remember. Yeah, but it rotates out next year, right?
You get one Waxadread.
Yeah.
When you Myra. I don't think it's good enough. There's other classes doing the survive thing now. I think way better than Rogue will possibly ever be able to do the survive game. So I'm not sold on Waxadread. I don't think this is a particularly strong card that plays into where rogues have been finding their success, especially this entire year, which has been with more aggressive tactics pretty much across the board.
Yeah, you're going to have to kind of bend over backwards to make this work. And I think that, there's ways to make copies of minions and double death rattle things and shuffle multiple copies of cards into your deck, things like that. But again, I think you're really trying to bend over backwards. And in the end, your big plan is to just have a whole bunch of 7/5s, I guess, that keep making 7/5s. I don't know. It's way outside of where I think Rogue has been going, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not. Rogue seems to be in a fine place. I don't know really why they'd switch it up.
Yeah, I'm not. And we've seen a lot of Rogue cards. A lot of them are being eaten up by Galakrond, which is the other thing.
Yeah.
That's why I'm not going, well, I need to see more cards. Like, there's not that many more cards to see. I don't think there's actually... I am unhopeful that there are enough cards yet to be revealed for Rogue that make me go, oh yeah, Waxadread Rogue is going to be a thing.
And maybe it's the kind of thing that doesn't work right now, but will work in an expansion or two.
Maybe.
I'm
just not used to slow rogues.
Yeah.
I do not believe in slow rogues. They're a myth. They don't exist. It's all a hoax. So with that in mind, we have one shaman card to talk about and only 2 warrior shaman cards or warrior cards.
Warrior shaman cards.
So let's just bounce through them real fast. Lightning Breath is a 3-mana rare shaman spell that reads deal 4 damage to a minion. If you're holding a dragon, also damage its neighbors. Now, I know I've only seen one Shaman card, but Dragon Shaman is freaking confirmed. This is amazing. This is all I needed to see. I'm forcing dragons day one. You could just reprint, what's the mage card? Azure Explorer, make it cost 9 mana. I don't give a shit. I'm playing Dragon Shaman. Just reprint, just make it cost 9 for Shaman. I'm playing this card. This card seems
Lightning Breath is very good. Yeah, very, very good.
Yeah, it's like, it's basically, if there's 3 things on board, this is a 3 mana Flame Strike. That's insane. That's bonkers. I love this card so much.
Yeah, it's really good.
Yeah, really, really good. Insane removal. We haven't seen any Shaman Dragons. I think they'd have to be exceptionally poor to not consider a Dragon Shaman deck because of how good this card is. But we'll see. Shaman's doing all kinds of crazy stuff right now, although they're going to have to figure out how to live without Evolve again. So I think it's very likely.
I think they'll be fine.
I think Shaman finds a way. All right, and let's bring us to the end of the class cards here with Warrior. We got 2 Warrior cards to talk about. Molten Breath, a 4 mana rare Warrior spell that reads, deal 5 damage to a minion. If you're holding a dragon, gain 5 armor. Yep, sure. Warriors want to gain armor.
Yep.
I think this is fine. It is another kind of epitome of, is Dragon Warrior a thing? If the answer is yes, it's a great card. If the answer is no, have fun with this card in Wild.
Yeah.
And then finally, Deathwing, Mad Aspect, another dragon we alluded to in our interview with Celestalon and Mad Scientist Man. Why can't I think of Kosak? Dave Kosak. I almost said Doc Brown because that's who he reminds me of. Deathwing, Mad Aspect. We alluded to this card in our interview from BlizzCon, but we didn't really talk about specifically what it does. It's an 8 mana 12/12 legendary Warrior Dragon with a battle cry that reads, attack all other minions. Attack order is confirmed to be random. And
it's all, so that means your own board as well. So you basically want to play Deathwing when you don't have anything else on board, or he'll just kill your stuff and die faster.
Yes. If only I could think of scenarios where warriors reset the board to basically nothing and maybe need a comeback even after that happens. Well, that's right. Brawl is still in standard. It's still in standard. I think this is a good card. I mean, you're right. It's something to take into account, but you are in control of whether or not Deathwing is going to be taking a swing at a board you have built or not. So it is kind of on you. So I think there are definitely use case scenarios for Mad Aspect Deathwing here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
3rd Deathwing we've gotten, by the way. The third version of Deathwing in Hearthstone. Yeah, I think this card is good. Just because you have so much control. Like, you can warp the board to where this is a particularly good minion to play. So, and even if you don't, it has a pretty high likelihood of being a good from behind card just because of it being a 12/12. So,
yeah, 12 attack is going to basically kill anything it runs into, including the other dragon aspects. They've got 8 and 12 health normally, right? Even the ones that already exist in Hearthstone. So, I mean, Deathwing's going to come down and Deathwing's going to pretty much kill everything.
Yeah, I agree. I'm with you, Mixclouds. Mixclouds in the chat room says, I'm sad that the Priest Dragon deck seems to be meh. Because Dragon Priest, man, that was my jam back in the day.
Maybe that's the thing. They're like, Dragon Priest has had their day. Let's give some other class dragons.
I'm sure that's playing a role, but I mean, there's still a few more cards to see, and you don't need that many dragons. The dragon package is only 7.
Yes, it's 7.
It's only 7. So. All right, let's bring it home, Joss. It's been a long talk. Let's talk about the neutrals that have been revealed so far, starting with a neutral invoke card, Devoted Maniac, 4 mana 2/2 common neutral minion with Rush and Battlecry Invoke Galakron. So for Priest, it's a 4 mana 2/2 Rush that adds a random Priest minion to your hand. For Rogue, it's a 4 mana 2/2 with Rush that adds a Lackey to your hand. And for Warlock, it's a 4 mana 2/2 Rush that summons 2 1/1 imps, because those are what the Galakron hero powers do for those respective classes. I think it seems all right for Rogue and Warlock. Again, just assume I'm not on board for Priest, because I just don't think that effect is all that great. But Rogue and Warlock, I think this is actually an okay card.
Nah. I don't. I think it's too expensive for a 2/2 rushing minion. I don't know. That seems terrible.
I don't think it's terrible. Again, no, because if you're paying 4 mana on Warlock, you're getting a 2/2 rush minion and 2 1/1s. You're getting 4/4 worth of stats, and 2/2 of those stats can attack right now into a minion. I don't think that's terrible. And for backup, I will invoke our conversation this entire episode where we've gone, well, I don't know. We kind of need to see more invoke cards. Maybe there aren't that many more invoke cards. If there's not that many more invoke cards, and I think Rogue and Warlock's Galakron makes a pretty strong case for it being worth it to want to try and make Galakron work, I think the Voted Maniac at least stands a chance. I'm not immediately throwing this card out because I think it's on a sliding scale depending on the quality of all invoke cards once we see them.
Mm-hmm.
So that's my bad.
Yes.
I potentially agree with you. So that way. Evasive Draconid's up next. 7 mana, 7/7 common neutral dragon with taunt, and it can't be targeted by spells or hero power. I really just want Fairy Dragon to be a keyword at this point.
Right. I feel like they should make a keyword for this because they seem to keep using it over and over and over, but
yeah, but then they would just decide to not use it randomly and send me into a fit of rage.
That's also true.
Yeah. This is all right. I don't hate this card. Obviously, it's damn good in Arena. Like, they just get that the hell out of the way. Good Arena card. Okay, let's have a constructed conversation. This is like up there with Sogoth, and it's 2 mana less. And I mean, yeah, Sogoth didn't really see play, but again, it's two mana less in terms of its stats. The stats are weighted differently. Sogoth was a 5/9. This is a 7/7. But
I think this doesn't necessarily ever find a slot in a standard deck, but I think because it is a dragon, it's the kind of thing that we're going to see play in tournaments and on ladder and stuff, just because sometimes you'll get this from a discover and it will be the thing you need at the time. So I think this is going to show up, but I don't necessarily expect it to be placed into decks. I don't think it's good enough to take one of those dragon slots because I think there's better options.
Unless you're mage and more dragon synergy cards we see, not dragons, but dragon synergy cards we see at a mage are really good, you're going to have no other option because
that's true.
It's kind of like Devoted Maniac. I think the Evasive Dragon, I'm leaning positive on Evasive Dragon. Like, I think this is kind of a good card in a vacuum by itself. It certainly isn't super flashy, the kind of thing you would go out of your way to include. But again, much like Devoted Maniac, where I think it becomes better or worse depending on the quality of other invoke minions, I think Evasive Draconid becomes better or worse depending on the overall quality of the dragon package for each individual class that's trying to make a dragon archetype work.
Mm-hmm. Where, I mean, we're going to talk about it in a second, but I think that Twin Tyrant is just straight up better if you're looking for dragons to place in your deck.
I'm inclined to agree, but I like Evasive Draconid. I'm leaning your way. I don't think this is a card you include, but it's definitely a card you're going to play.
Yeah, I think this is a card dragons. You're probably going to pick a few times from Discover.
Absolutely. Before we get to Twin Tyrant, let's talk about Shield of Galakron, another neutral invoke minion. 5 mana, 4/5, neutral taunt minion. That's taunt. Has a battle cry that just says invoke Galakron. So priest, it's a 5 mana, 4/5 with taunt that adds a random priest minion to your hand. Rogue, it's a 5 mana, 4/5 taunt. Add a lackey to your hand. And Warlock, it's a 5 mana, 4/5 taunt that summons 2 1/1 imps. Again, I think this is a pretty solid card if you're Rogue or Warlock.
Yeah, I think this is straight up better than the Maniac.
Yes, I will agree with you there.
I would play this. I would not play the Maniac. I would play the Shield.
We'll definitely agree with you there. Definitely agree with you there. But nonetheless, yeah, I think this is good. I think this is I think this has high likelihood to see inclusion in Galakron decks. Like, get a deck slot or 2. Probably 2. And then finally,
I think so, yeah.
We're going to wrap this up with Twin Tyrant, an 8 mana, 4/10 common neutral dragon with a battle cry that reads, deal 4 damage to 2 random enemy minions. You're damn right this is better than...
This is why I think this is way better than the Evasive Draconid. And I think if you're looking for places to, like, if you're looking for dragons to try to shore up the dragon package in your deck in order to get enough activators, then I think if your class doesn't have enough of their own class specific dragons, Twin Tyrant is one you're going to be taking a look at. This is another one that I had a chance to actually play. It was in my deck at BlizzCon, and it's really powerful. Like, first of all, it's super beefy. The 4 attack is going to at least help you to kind of like soften up the opponent's board. But the 4 damage to 2 random enemy minions was so powerful. It was really, really, really good. So I think Twin Tyrant might even be the choice that you make when you're trying to build out enough dragons to make all of your synergies work if you're doing a dragon deck. This card was really good.
It makes a strong case to be one of the 7.
Mm-hmm.
That's what we're just
again. If you don't have a lot of options for your class, like mage, like we just talked about, their class specific dragon, not so hot. You might want to go with Twin Tyrant instead. Twin Tyrant's good.
Would you say it's not
so hot?
There you go. Yeah, I would definitely say that.
Okay, wonderful. Yeah, I like this card a lot. I think it's going to get slots. That's it.
And it'll definitely get discovered again with all of the Discover a Dragon cards that we're seeing. Yeah, you'll see Twin Tyrant in play.
It might be a quad tyrant.
Words.
It might, whatever 6 is called, I always forget. You might see this thing more than 2 times.
Very true.
It's gonna be rough. It's gonna be a lot of 4 damage going out to 2 random enemy minions over the course of games with dragon decks, I think, because of this card. So keep your eyes peeled. And we did it, Jocelyn. We are caught up on Descent of Dragon cards.
Just in time to get more next week.
Damn straight. I'm so glad they're kicking off reveals right before Thanksgiving, where I will definitely not be paying attention to reveals.
It's okay. I got you.
Good. So you can just carry the following week's episode super hard, and I'll just go, oh my God, that's what that does? I'm sorry, I'm still in a turkey coma. I'm just sitting there eating pumpkin pie. You do not understand my love of pumpkin pie, Jocelyn.
I like pumpkin pie too. I make a very good pumpkin pie.
I didn't know this.
If I do say so myself.
I didn't know this.
Oh God, I love baking.
I'm going to invite myself to Canadian Thanksgiving one year. Just be like, yo.
It won't be too cold for you yet.
It won't.
Happens in October.
It won't. I had a lovely time at your wedding. I know it was definitely freezing, but I had a lovely time. I brought appropriate clothing.
That is key.
Although I got to say, and I know more people in my country deal with this than don't. If you live somewhere frigid, I don't understand how you layer on that much and unlayer that much so many times over the course of your day. Like I don't understand. It's such a foreign concept to me. You just have to add
in like dressing and undressing time into your schedule.
Yeah.
You just have to assume like you add an extra 10 to 15 minutes buffer whenever you need to go anywhere.
Yep. So anyways, that's going to wrap it up for the show. We're past 2 hours at this point. We knew it was going to be a thick one. I promise we're going to get back to emails at some point. So keep them coming. tacpodcast@gmail.com. If you are a patron, congratulations, you're in the patron-only Discord. So drop us messages right there. We do our best to take a look at that and bring questions in, even if we're doing long episodes. But it's pretty long in the tooth. I think next week should be a little more sane. I can't imagine massive shifts in the Battlegrounds meta, plus however many cards we covered today, all going to be happening next week. So send your questions in, whether it's tacpodcast@gmail.com or the patron Discord. So check it out. Thanks again, by the way, to our patrons. If you like Angry Chicken, do you like the show, everybody? Listen, there's like tens of thousands of you out there listening. I know it. I know there's tens of thousands of you listening. $1 goes along with, like, if everyone that downloaded the show gave just $1, like, that's it. This is the only thing we would have to do. Like, we could decide where to move and open a studio, like, and do this live in person every week. Please, for the love of God,
Island.
If that ever happens, please God, let it be somewhere warm, for my sake. But
I hear Greenland's for sale.
That's a little harsh. It hurts a little bit. But yeah, seriously, it all adds up. It all helps. You are the reason we get to do this. So thank you again to our patrons. Check it out, patreon.com/TAC if you like what we're doing and you want to support the Angry Chicken. It's always going to be free, folks, but We spent a lot of time making the show. So if you want to support us, that's the best way to do so. And huge thanks to our producers, by the way. Declan, Sean C, Cheaty Bob. Thank you, 3 so very, very much. 2 more producer slots, by the way, if anybody wants to go pick those up. Go check it out. Patreon.com/TAC. If you want to go check out the entire back catalog, maybe you want to go catch up on episode 339, our post-BlizzCon episode, where we talked all about Galacron and the different Galacrons for the different classes. You can check that out over at amove.tv or youtube.com/amovetv. Podcast listeners, you can see our beautiful faces. I've got like this scene emo thing going on today because I didn't want to style my hair because it's pretty dry after the bleaching, and I just kind of wanted to let it sit and relax. Also, it's a little chilly. It's Florida cold here, so I'm wearing a beanie. See, I'm circa 2005 right now. That's the look I'm rocking today. I'm going to go listen to Fall Out Boy and My Chemical Romance as soon as we're done with this podcast, and I can't wait. You think I'm joking? I'm not. Those are like 2 of my all-time favorite bands. I love them to death. I'm so glad MCR is coming back. So, Joss, before we leave, and before we just endlessly talk about pumpkin pie and 2000s emo bands that I can't get enough of, where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter and Twitch. I'm at Joss Plays. You should also go and check out. There will be a link in the show notes to the Extra Life campaign. Next Extra Life stream will be on the 30th, which I believe is the Saturday of American Thanksgiving weekend. So if you guys are just, in turkey comas, come watch the stream. It'll be super fun, and you can support a great cause. So again, the link will be in the show notes for the Extra Life campaign. Super stoked for another stream. We'll be going noon to midnight at least.
Freaking awesome. I'm Garrett Art on Twitter. I would also like to double promote Jocelyn's Extra Life stream. It's a great cause. You should definitely go and support it. Other than that, all of my podcasts, this one included, can be found over at amove.tv. Just put up a brand new episode of Let's Talk About Star Wars, spoiling the first 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. We dove pretty deep. We didn't talk about that one Yoda theory. I think it's a little far-fetched, everyone. We'll probably address it at some point, but we didn't address that one theory, but we talked about a lot of stuff. So if you like Star Wars, subscribe to Let's Talk About Star Wars, wherever podcasts can be found. If you like Heroes of the Storm, that game is showing no signs of stopping, and there's a new balance patch coming this Friday, as well as Deathwing still looming on the horizon, so you should also go and subscribe to Into the Nexus. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of The Angry Chicken, which means until next week, job's done.
Job's done.